mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
1, 2, 3, Rain, talk to me. We're gonna hit a beat and talk about my Eve. Everybody, don't know what I say.
God.
I'm gonna do a beat.
Make it stop.
Rain?
It's
Why?
time to stop.
Why did you do this?
There you go.
Rock, paper, scissors, right? We don't want Eve to be as simple as shut the fuck up, Seto!
Floods of like memes, and these small gangers are like, we're the elite of the elite. Do not fuck with us. We will kill you. We are the best players ever. It's like, dude, I did your shit. I did it better than you did. And it's like, yeah.
You know what this conversation is like? When I say not enough super die and delve, and people tell me, oh, look, there's a super die and delve. So it's like, when I'm
What are
talking
you
about
even
the balance
talking
issue,
about? We were talking about fucking balance, not supers
Yeah.
dying and delve.
Look,
Why
look,
does
look, look,
everything with you have to be about supers fucking dying and
Shut
delve?
up! Shut up!
Christ!
It's an analogy, moron. It's an analogy. Okay?
You guys stop arguing. You act like a fucking married couple. Jesus
It's-
Christ.
No, don't stop arguing.
It's an
Oh, it
analogy.
is Trash Talk
It's
Tuesday.
an
I was
analogy.
like,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another riveting episode of Trash Talk Tuesdays. It seems to me that there may be some slight issues with encoding on this end, so please do let me know if you run into any strange buffering or anything like that. But otherwise, my name is Redline13, and welcome to Trash Talk Tuesday, the third best talk show that broadcasts on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern or 0200 Eve. We are joined by some wonderful people. We've actually got about 17 people in our channel tonight. We've got some pretty interesting topics to talk about. I need to turn myself up. There, I'm maxed. I'm maxed up now. I guess I'm maxed. Whatever, we'll figure it out. So tonight we're going to be joined by the team captain of the winners of the E26 Alliance Open. We were gonna have a bunch of folks from the Alliance Open on, but we've got a few of them here tonight. We've also, so that's the last Spartan who his team won the tournament. We're also joined by Dirks the Teal from the Goonswarm team, and we are joined by Kavegi of the
Lollipop.
Yeah, the Lollipops team. I was going to say that. I just had to think about it a second. And then, of course, we're also joined by your usual favorites. We've got Rain here, who has just raided the stream. We've got Villy. We've got Rich. We've even got our boy Dominark. And we've got a hype train. That's interesting. So what's up, guys? How's everybody doing tonight?
Perfect.
Not bad. I can't complain.
Not
Doing
bad.
well.
Camp.
You're
Cool.
doing pretty good.
Well, that's what we
Laying
like
back.
to hear. You're what?
I'm doing shit.
Laying back.
Dom, you said you're doing what?
I'm fighting COVID here, so
Oh, man.
starting to
And
finally
you-
feel a little.
And you came on the show fighting COVID?
I am that dedicated.
Props to you, Dom. Props to you.
That's some dedication right there, man. Well, I hope you get better soon.
Thank you.
So I guess let's just jump right into it, huh? So the E26 Alliance Open was for the last couple weeks, last couple weekends, I guess. And how many teams actually competed in that, Dirk? What was the total?
32. 32 alliances from across various parts of EVE Online. We had, groups from the Wormhole organizations. We had groups from LowSec. We had groups from NullSec. It was a ton of fun. It's a real ton of fun.
And it ended up being like 2 full weekends, right?
Yeah.
Saturday and
So according to the challenge bracket, it was 61 matches, including a best of 3 and a best of 5 round for the semi-finals and finals. So actually, in terms of the number of matches played, it probably played out to about 66 over 2 weekends, the Saturday 14th and 15th, and then Saturday and Sunday the 21st and 22nd as well.
Now, this isn't run by CCP, correct?
Correct.
No,
this
this
was run
the-
by EVT.
This was put together by the EVT team, who were also known as Plus 10 Gaming at various points in the past. Anybody who's watched previous Alliance tournaments might know them from Alliance Tournament 15 and 16, where they were involved in a lot of the streaming and casting and kind of analysis side of things. And just they've got a whole ton of tournament experience. They put together their own league tournament at one point as well, and just generally they're a bunch of really great guys who put an absolute ton of effort into making this happen for everybody who competed. And so, absolutely massive props to the entire EVT team.
Now that's one thing that I wish that CCP would do, is actually make like a league, like turn even to esports. That'd be so dope.
I am glad that some of the past Alliance tournament teams and players have returned to, well, show it off in the EVT. Myself, I managed to convince one of my friends, Kavegi, who was flying in the Lollipop team. He started off EVE a while ago and flew with Broski Enterprises, the Doughboys Love Squad, and then Hydra Reloaded. So he's got quite a lot of, well, tournament experience.
Yeah, I do agree that they should do something like that, because it brings a whole different aspect to the game that I believe, honestly, because like going out to I'm with Flamin Dragons, #1, yes. And just like another wormhole groups, right? You just go out and do your nano stuff, but it's never like an equal fight. You're either fighting undernumbered, overnumbered. It's always different, right? But when it's 10v10, or what the guys did on the test server where it was 5v5, and you pick 5 ships, try to make the best, or the 10, which was this weekend and the weekend before, and try to properly work as a unit, right? You know that there's nothing else coming at you, right? What's on grid is what's happening, and you have to make the best of a situation, right? And sometimes it's rock, paper, scissors, right? You look at a comp and you're like, that really sucks and there's nothing I can do, but let's make the best of it, right? So that's why I think it's quite disappointing that CCP themselves stopped the Alliance tournament, because that was one thing that's been around forever and one thing we've always looked for each year. And then they're like, yeah, just kidding, we're stopping that for now. So it's glad that people have stepped up to do something and bring that back into the game. So it'd be nice if CCP would come back and bring that to give us, because the other thing that's nice is, yeah, sure, we got some cool skins out of this, but for other players such as myself, like I love playing my Alliance tournament ship, and people like collecting things. So now that there's no new AT ships from CCP, it's kind of like, well, this is disappointing in itself too, because that's a new aspect that comes in that people are interested in, right?
So here's my question, I guess, and Rain, you're a part of EVT, so you can probably answer this better than almost anybody. Do we need CCP to step in and do this kind of stuff for us, or do you think the player-run tournaments are better?
The problem with player run tournaments is the lack of tools. So from that perspective, yes, we'll always need CCP. So for example, the Alliance Open was completely run by the EVT crew, and then volunteers, doing everything, and then the players actually participating. But we needed CCP Aurora to set up Thunderdome, to set up the tool, to give us accounts to referee. So from that perspective, yes, we do need CCP. With the 5v5s.
My God, did she put in work? Aurora
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
through.
massive.
Yeah, and
Absolutely massive shout outs to CCP
So
Aurora for the amount of effort.
Some purple hearts in the chat for CCP Aurora, please and
Like,
thank you.
Aurora was basically kicking Thunderdome every single day for about a month for all the players who were participating. So yeah, massive props.
Should she have the server under her desk this time?
Yeah, it sounds like it. But then with like the 5v5 scrims, so that was run by Geronix and friends. I would say last spring, summer, and that was all player run. That was just like them using Thunderdome, and I don't think CCP. I don't even think they participated with like prizes or anything. Maybe they helped with promotion, but from that perspective, yeah, that was just on CC. But then that's where it's like, you know, I think they opted not to have prizes because then if there were prizes, then there was incentive to cheat. And if people are going to cheat, then you run into the issue of like, how do you know people aren't using implants, or how do you know they aren't using drugs? And so they went with the real trust-based system, which worked for them. It was really, really well done. But I think to kind of take that and then even the Alliance Open and taking it to the next level, you're going to have CCP support.
I believe you were in some of the 2v2 and 1v1 tournaments, Kavegi, where it was actually on Tranquility. How was that, well, logistically speaking, and by participation, when it's run in reality on Tranquility instead of Singularity?
That actually wasn't too bad itself. I know the first round, it was an honor system too, as you guys were mentioning. Some people decided to break those rules, and they found out because they'd look at fits after and be like, yeah, there's no way that could fit, because they just were like, no implants, no nothing, let's just play, right? So yeah, they started doing third-party websites to make sure, as well as taking screenshots to make sure you didn't have any, like, you'd lock up the person, make sure you have no drugs, send it to the person. So it took a little bit extra, but it was really well done, and DTM did do a pretty good job. It went all well. There was actually a lot of fan base. I made it to the finals once, ran straight out of the boundary, and I think that killed the whole thing. So that was pretty funny. But
yeah, that was so bad. Oh god,
yeah.
I remember that. I was so disappointed watching that.
Dude, picture that. Now picture my disappointment, because I was like, I'm gonna fucking crush AP, and the worst was, I couldn't. I don't know.
Was that
every
your
other
match?
Yeah. I was the guy that flew out the fucking boundary, and like every other match, if you watch, I just totally crushed whoever I was fighting, and then I was like, I'm gonna pull AP back to the boundary, because we were flying mirror ships, right? So my idea was shoot missiles into him while he's eating it, flying at me where his missiles weren't. And then it's a mirror matchup, so I've got a little bit extra damage. And it wasn't until I was like at 120 that I looked, and I was like, I'm so fucking bad. Yeah, it was so bad. And then like everybody was like, oh, that's collusion. I was like, no. And then I apologized to everybody, and I was like, we can do a rematch. He could win still and get all the prize and still give him a fair match, but they didn't want to do that. But so I felt really bad for the community, but I totally fucking goofed that up. But there's so many memes about it that I thought it was funny, and I thought the tournament would still continue, and there were still a few after that, but it kind of died down. But even on Tranquility, that was kind of nice, because it was right in 4-4, or right off of 4-4 in Jita, right? You just grab a ship, warp over there. They had grids. It is a little hard, because sometimes people would come in stupid NATOs and shoot stuff or do something stupid, right? But for the most part, people didn't really bug us. We got to do our own thing. So that's another neat little thing that is a possibility. So it would have to use CCP's ability, right? To like maybe moderate like its own like sphere kind of thing, like a grid. There we go. In Jita, and maybe people can warp to it and watch and not come in or something. I know that's way too complicated, but even on TQ, it was pretty fun, and it was something that I was excited, because it was like, cool, this weekend, instead of just doing the 1v1s that they've introduced or going out hunting, it's like, cool, I'm going to fight that guy. Cool, I lost. I'm out. Next weekend, sign up for another one. Next weekend, sign up for another one. So that was kind of thing like that kind of brought me back in when I was feeling a little bummed and not playing Eve, right? It was something like, this is different, and it's like a challenge, right? And like you were talking about earlier with the league, right? It was kind of like that, where you're like, cool, every weekend I can come in, play a few matches. If I lose, cheer on somebody else. If I win, let's keep going, right? So I thought that was really neat when it was going on.
Yeah. So let's see. I was gonna ask somebody something, but I forgot what I was gonna say.
Well, I got a question while you're thinking of that. So why do you guys think they don't do like a 2-part? One where you're whatever implants, whatever boosters, like, hey, Eve, if it's in Eve, go at it, and then the like no implants, and kind of have like split it that way and really just see what the difference is.
I mean,
is it just time?
There's an aspect of time and the sheer like time investment that it takes to run these things. I mean, you know, even without taking into account the amount of man hours that teams put in preparing for these things, putting it together, the rule sets, the amount of time that it takes for people to referee these things, it's a hell of an investment. And you know, for CCP to do that would be great. For CCP to resurrect the AT for an AT17 next year, I'd be right there with them, and definitely I'll bring the Goonswarm team back again for that. But
can
doing
I
the two
say...
different setups, doing the two, just real quick before you jump in,
I'm sorry.
Redline, doing
Yeah, go for
the
it.
two different setups with the implants and drugs and everything, and then not. It has happened in the past. There have been tournaments in the past that have allowed use of drugs, that have allowed use of implants and what have you, and the way that always kind of ended up is, people min-max and min-max and min-max, but then it ends up being, at least on Tranquility, it ends up being who can afford the high-end drugs, right? Like, take into account the Triglavian ships, right? With the mimesis implants that ramp up the damage and the cycle time and what have you. A high-grade mimesis set is a couple billion ISK, and that's for one pilot for one ship.
Right.
The amount of raw ISK investment that you'd have
just
to
have
put
the slots
in,
though, right? So there's 16 implant drug slot teams, 16 non, and you sign up if you can afford you want to go in, fly 5 billion ISK worth of stuff in a tournament, then hey, you're on that side.
And then okay, at that point, where does the competitive aspect come in? Where does really the pilot skill and the theory crafting skill come in? I'm honestly a real fan of the slightly more restricted format, because working within the rules is really where you find the creative guys. It's where you find the pilots who know what they're doing with a ship every time, and that. Especially in some of the mirror matchups. There was a mirror matchup that was being discussed on the EVNT server just yesterday, where it was basically a mirror matchup. 3 Nighthawks, 2 Lokis, 3 Svipples, 2 Logi frigates. And the only difference was the Logi frigates in terms of the Kirin versus the Scalpel.
So I am
But
going to
one
go ahead
team
and
was
drop
torn
a
apart.
poll. I have to say, I'm going to drop a poll in the chat because you talked a lot longer than I thought you were, and you went past where I was going to make a point. So
make your point, Redline. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna drop a poll in the chat because I'm curious about this, because in my opinion, so I think that what makes Eve like great in general is just the fact that people are like, the community, right, is just so fucking phenomenal. And it's one of those things where I think the community should keep running the polls. Not the polls, the tournaments. Like, you've got EVNT running the Alliance tournament clone. You've got Dronix and his crew running like the 5v5s, which is a completely different format. And then you've got like DTM doing the 1v1s. Like, that's cool. Like, having those different types of things. And I don't know if CCP has the manpower to actually put all that together. So the question that I'm going to put in here is, should CCP go back to running player PvP tournaments? Yes or no? I just want to see what the chat thinks, because I think the players have done a hell of a good job.
The players
have
have
done a fantastic job.
The players have done a hell of a job. Nobody's going to doubt that. But, the thing is, CCP is not interested in investing the amount it takes to run the Alliance tournament for the last few years, and they've shown that, right? Like, it's a big time commitment, it's a big monetary commitment, and it has very real like impacts on the game. I just don't know if CCP is ever going to come back to doing it the way people were used to historically.
I mean, I have a lot of hope for that, especially CCP Aurora, who was previously Catalia Mist of the Brave Collective. CCP Aurora has a ton of experience in tournaments. She really enjoys the tournament scene a lot, and so I've got a lot of hope for the future in terms of Aurora supporting that. But in terms of the way these tournaments go, without CCP support, we're never going to see the level of tournament play that we used to. It's just an impossibility. The Alliance Open was absolutely fantastic fun. I had so much fun running the Goonswarm team. This was the first time I'd run like an Alliance tournament level team, and it was really interesting and a really fantastic learning experience. But
So I love
at the same
that.
time, it was Thunderdome. There's
lose
no
them.
level of loss.
Yeah.
There's no
gonna-
investment beyond our time investment, and we love it. But
I
yeah,
am going to talk to you about your time that you spent with the team and all that kind of stuff. But I want to ask Spartan. Dirk doesn't have a portrait on the screen, by the way. It's just his voice because I didn't have time to do portraits because I was playing Shadowlands. Suck it. I want to ask Spartan. So Dirk said it felt really good to compete in the tournament. Calvegi enjoyed himself. Spartan, how did it feel to win the whole thing?
It was amazing. Probably the happiest I've ever been playing this game.
And now you'll have to forgive me if I'm asking stupid questions because I want to make sure that everybody who's watching will also understand the story behind you. So you had you competed in alliance tournaments before, like the official ones?
Yeah, we competed in the last few. I think either 14 or 15 is the one we started with. First one, I think we only went 1 and 2. Next one was 3 and 2. So, and slowly getting better over the years.
Yeah.
It was very surprising to see your victory because, well, I don't think you fielded any of the wildcard Alliance tournament ships that they were allowing people to field. As well as that, most people, at least in the Discord Diamond, didn't predict your victory against Warlords of the Deep because of their extensive AT background. But you turned it around. You completely stomped over them.
I think most of the predictions in the tournament, at least in the matches that I saw, were just completely shattered. There was one moment where I think it was the Vidra. It was either Vidra or Volta just completely lost their shit for no reason. And everyone was like, how did that happen? I don't remember
Yeah,
who it was that beat them now.
there were a lot of upsets. I mean, the fact that Vidra, Volta, and Warlords all went down to the losers bracket. For those who aren't aware in the audience, a lot of these tournaments run on a double elimination. So everyone starts out on a level playing field, and then if you lose one match, you go down into what's called the losers bracket. And then if you lose a second match, you're eliminated from the tournament. And so Volta, Vidra, Warlords, these are all teams with a lot of tournament history that were knocked down into the losers bracket on the very first weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a huge surprise to a lot of people. The Vidra Volta match happened right at the start, so everyone knew at least one of those would be knocked down. But then Warlords getting knocked into the losers bracket on the first Sunday, and then Volta basically being disqualified into the losers bracket because they can't count was also a major surprise. So
that was bullshit. Still bullshit. Still bullshit.
You're wrong.
I mean, maybe they should
You're
learn
wrong,
to
and
count.
you know it, Redline.
Here it goes.
The point system, I think, was a little bit interesting. I was on a team, and I got to kind of see how we kind of had to craft around the point system. Just basically taking into account that they didn't want us flying certain ships that would normally be kind of always fielded and that kind of thing. I do have a question for Spartan though. So it probably was a little bit of a strange thing. Spartan's Alliance Tempest Kelsef is often, or almost always, I mean, every time I look at Event T, I see Tempest Kelsef against somebody. So how many of the guys on your team in this open are just kind of former veteran Tempest Kelsef tournament, Event T tournament kind of veterans?
I think most of them. Pretty much everybody that we had in the last Alliance tournament came back for this one, except I think 1 or 2 people.
And just a quick follow-up question: did you notice that the Griffins were hitting every fucking jam? Did you guys have that experience? Because we certainly did.
Give all skills super.
I know, and that was kind of the conclusion I came to, is either the Griffin's extremely bugged on Thunderdome, or it's literally just because we all had max skills.
So speaking of skill, and I'm not talking about skill point skills, but I want to hear from you guys because Dirk, I know you captain the Goonswarm team, right?
Yeah.
And Loki, you just fed on your team. I'm just kidding, by the way. I know you didn't. It's a joke. And then Spartan, you were the captain
I
of your team.
think that's accurate, actually.
Yep.
it is accurate, but
It is.
I didn't want to be. I didn't want that to be like the introduction.
No, actually,
to you being
I did
on a
survive.
team.
I did survive one match, actually. So cheers.
Oh, gotcha. And then Kavegi, were you just a pilot, or were you a part of building the team?
I was mostly just a pilot. Plinchy was the leader, right? So he made the comps. He called who's doing what.
Sure.
My main job was usually the smaller FC. So like I was either in a Jackdaw or a Vedmac, like something smaller. So he was calling for the bigger stuff, and then I
Yeah.
was making sure that the smaller
So
stuff would be switching.
The reason why I ask is because I'm curious. So on Tranquility, as some of us fly in null-sec alliances, low-sec alliances, everything like that, a lot of stuff is based on skill points, right? So you have doctrines that require you to have a certain amount of skill points so that you can fly the ships, use the weapons, everything efficiently. When you take that out of the equation, how do you build a team of people that, like, where do you find these people? How do you know that they've got the right stuff? Do you do like tryouts, or you just know your guys and you put them together, or you've played with them before? Like, how does this all come together to make a tournament team? And we'll go to Dirk for that one.
I mean, for my experience, this is kind of like the first time I've captained a team like this. I captained a team for the Streamfleet Invitational, the second round of that, and for that I kind of pulled in players that I knew from previous Goonswarm AT attempts. For this, it was basically an open recruitment almost. Like I posted on our forums. It got pinged once, maybe twice to people so that they could sign up through a Google form. And basically from there, I had a core of like my theory crafting group and my co-captain, Azure and Argent, who had been through this sort of tournament setup before. I had like 4 or 5 veteran players from previous tournaments. But everyone else was kind of new to the whole thing, and so we did our practices, and a lot of it was about who performed well in practices, but also who was turning up regularly to practices. And like, having reviewed our performance over this Alliance tournament, obviously we went 0 for 2, which was disappointing. I thought we could win at least one, but Weekend Warriors did really well, and I'm not embarrassed to have lost to them in the first round. It really is one of those things where I've taken that on as a learning experience. But yeah, it was kind of an open recruitment for us, and it was really just who was willing to put in the time and the effort that kind of dictated who was on my end team.
And
Now,
what
I got
about you, Spartan? What sorry, Dalek, but Spartan, what went into building your team this time? Being that I'm guessing you've captained the tournament teams before.
Yeah. A lot of the roles were filled in by people that over the last few years, it's what they've gotten good at. So like we either had people that we knew were going to be in the other battleship besides me, or the people that were going to be in the command ship, all the things like that. For the others, is mostly just we had a lot of practices narrowing down which roles people were good at. And then for all of the other practices, they would just keep doing that same ship type or things like that.
Neat. And Dalek,
And
did
you
you
guys-
have a question for these guys?
Yeah, here's a question. Well, question or not, but for people that want to do these competitions, wouldn't it be recommended that they really need to know their ship, ammo, and everything prior? It's not an F1 monkey system.
I don't know, actually. Like, I think this sort of tournament, what you have to understand about this sort of tournament, right, is that, especially for the Alliance Open, it was announced, late July, and signups for teams happened kind of from August 1st. So from August 1st through to the 14th of November, you've got 3.5 months of lead time in which to prepare for that, right? So, and I'm sure Spartan can echo this, but we were one of the first teams that were definitely in there. You know, I was pinging Mittens pretty furiously on August 1st to make sure that our Plex got transferred and everything. And, you know, a lot of, like I said previously, a lot of my pilots were guys who just signed up from an open recruitment. These are guys who may have flown interdictors before. They may have flown like combat interceptors, getting perches or what have you, but they hadn't necessarily done the small gang stuff. And so I'd say, you know, you can definitely, given the lead time that you have, if the people who are joining you are interested in that, then you can definitely turn them from an F1 monkey into more of a tournament pilot. And, you know, it's one of those things that just takes time and practice. But I know that a lot of my team basically said to me that their piloting had definitely improved, in their opinion, over the course of our practices. And that was something that I was really happy to see.
Now, there's another second to that. Do you think a person that's from nullsec to a person that's in lowsec, which pilot do you think would be a lot better at being in the tournament?
So you're wondering if there's a difference between the quality of pilot in lowsec versus nullsec?
That's massively difficult. You know, having FC'd in nullsec compared to now having run a nullsec tournament team, it's definitely a very different experience. I think, you know, depending on what pilots in lowsec do, they might have an edge. I definitely think the wormhole pilots have a bit more of an edge over the rest of us because they're constantly limited to in terms of the numbers they can push through a wormhole and the kind of ships they're using. So, you know, definitely there's a
we got. I'm curious what
there's a
Kavegi
circumstance.
I'm curious on Kavegi's and Spartan's answers to that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you did take an open approach, and you know, hey, what kind of trainees you go? But I'm gonna bet these other guys took a much different approach.
Personally, for me, like I said, I didn't really pick the team, and for Lollipops, we were more lower numbers, right? So we didn't have a numbers to pick from. So I was on the team personally because I've done previous ETs. I've known Plinchy, which was the captain, for a few years now. So then when he reached out to Wagons to see if anybody of us wanted to join the team, right? I spammed him even before because Adam told me about it. But I agree with the statement that you said that wormholers have a little bit higher of an upper hand to this than you would say nullsec and lowsec, just because of pretty much exactly what you said. Like, we can only fit so much through a wormhole, so we have to determine what do we bring in, where are we going, versus the nullsec person. Like, when we come and go and fight you guys, you can bring whatever the fuck you want, right? You can undock a battleship, you can undock your dreads, you can do anything, right? So not saying it's not strategic, right? But we have to fight, and we're doing it more often. At least that's the way that I feel, right? That it's always more dynamic, whereas sometimes we just run into a big blob. But even if we hit a blob, right, sometimes we fight like 50 versus 5 and 10, right? And we just try to string it out and pull it out and try to do what we can with it. So I do agree there's a disadvantage. It might not be huge, but I feel like you get more practice per se being a wormhole or doing that kind of fighting. And then with what you said about low sec and null sec, I don't know. I think they're pretty close per se. You get different ideas of what to do, right? Because in low sec, I find it's mostly frigates and cruisers, so you get better piloting with that. But then you get more comfortable living. So in null sec, because I feel like you can test more by by being in the blob, right? So you don't guarantee that you die every time per se, right?
Yeah, but the thing is like with low sec, you have to know how to fly your ship, and you're not putting yourself at following the FC.
I mean, it doesn't matter like if you're from low sec or null sec, dude. As long as like you go out and you learn how to pilot your own ship, regardless of where you are in space, then that thing's gonna come to you. Like you don't have to be in low sec to learn how to pilot your own ship.
I think it more depends on the type of fleet you do and everything. Because teams like Exodus in the past and Tuskers, their biggest advantage, I want to say, is that they were smaller groups, so they all are a lot
Bring
better
back
at
Sabo, dude.
communicating. They were all better at communicating with each other, which is a huge part in these tournaments.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The communication level that you need to get to play well in these tournaments is pretty crazy. You know, everyone has to have a voice. Everyone has to, you know, be willing to say things as well. You know, like some people. I found this in my team. You know, early on there were some people who just weren't willing to say things and speak up if somebody else was saying something. And sometimes that's the turning point. You know, somebody doesn't say something,
That's like a
and so
confidence
you
thing, right?
move. And well, it's that kind of hierarchy that we get in nullsec, especially in Goonswarm. You know, we're a very organized alliance. We're very well known for that, and so you know, a lot of these people who maybe if they've only been in fleets before and never been on this kind of level of small gang and tournament stuff, they might just not want to speak over what they consider to be the FC. And you've just kind of got to break those habits to get into the tournament level.
So, are we gonna have next year a tournament?
I'd hope so. How much time did you spend practicing for the tournaments? How many times did you scrim, and the amount of hours spent theorizing with the captains and such?
Practice, at least for us, we were doing like 4 or 5 times a week, 2-hour practices.
Jesus, okay, that was where we went wrong then.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, go ahead.
here I am thinking that we were like 2 times a week, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. You know, like on average, we were probably 5 hours a week for the 3.5 months leading up to the tournament, with a little bit more towards the end. But wow, Spartan, if you were 5 days a week, Jesus, no wonder you did so well.
It's a slave driver, dude.
I'll give you that, because, but I don't disagree with that time, because when we worked probably a few years ago, when ET was actually a thing, and I flew for the Shadow Cartel team, like we put the time in too there. So we put in, like he was saying, 4, 5, sometimes 6 days a week, 2 hours a day when we were trying to practice for that. For this, we only did like once a week for 2 hours, right? So, but even with that, we really did well, like for what we did, right? We practiced an hour, 2 hours a week, and then we won 2 matches, lost 2 matches. But you can see the quality. Like if you practice 4 hours, or sorry, 2 hours 4 times a week, you're gonna, okay, well, this guy's missing this, that guy's doing this, let's switch out with this. You seem to be better with a cruiser, you seem better to be in a light squad doing this, you seem better to be tackle, right? So the more time you put in, the better you can see where you position. And then you also, like you were saying too, the Goonswarm captain, right, where you can get comfortable with talking to each other instead of just listening to one guy talk to you, right? So then you're like, oh, hey, I'm scrammed. And instead of just saying it'd be like, a Cav scrammed, I also have this scrammed, this guy needs reps. So you're just everybody's vocal, and the fact that you get more coherent with your own team, then you become better as a unit, which can move forward.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you know, we're talking about practice a lot here as well, but it's not just practice. Like I had like 4 or 5 guys. Well, I'm not.
Practice.
I'm not going to include myself. But you know, we had like 4 guys on my team who, not just in terms of the hours that we were all together as a team, but they were putting in, you know, 2, 3, 4 hours, multiple days a week just on theory crafting stuff and figuring out, what did we think about this comp? What did we think about that comp? Let's have that conversation and get back to each other. So, in terms of the man hours that go into it in the background, not just the entire team, but the theory crafting, it can get to be a very interesting obsession.
Yeah, I agree
Well, I would
totally
like
with
to say
that.
Some of the
thanks
most
to
heated
Tom.
arguments I've ever seen have been over like the stupidest fucking shit. Like, have you ever seen triage nerds go at it over whether you should put another fucking cap relay on your Minakawa, dude? It's crazy. Not that you'd actually put a cap relay on a Minakawa. I think it was
Well,
Oh my god, Preeb.
fucking
I'll tell you a
wild, dude.
secret. I'll tell
It's
you a
fucking
secret.
I
wild.
believe that you haven't changed your Discord name away from Priebus Yeetus the Fetus, and that I'm seeing it live
This
on
is a
stream
badge
right now.
of honor, all right? Badge of
Priebus
honor.
Yeetus the Fetus.
Well, I would
Slightly
like to
better.
say thanks to everybody that gave the info because now others can understand what needs to be done for these competitions. So hopefully we can get more people involved in it.
I mean,
It
I've got
seems
kind
a
of
lot of work.
I've got a question actually for Spartan, and to the other guys as well who've been participating this time. Something that the GSF team has done, and dank leaks and all that, but something that the GSF team has done is over the past few Alliance tournaments is kind of like build up a checklist of things that we need to do in advance of a match. Once you get teleported in onto the grid, you need to double check this, that, the other. Once you actually land on the arena, you've got to check this, and this as well. Is that something you guys do, or is that just us being kind of nerds?
Yeah.
No, I'll totally
We
agree with
had
that. Yeah, we had one guy in one match, and he just laughed after. He's like, "I didn't even launch drones," and you think that's like, "Oh well, that's not a super serious thing," but when you actually think about it,
Jesus.
like, right when you're min maxing, if 5 drones aren't on the field, you lose, right? Like if it's the mirror matchup that we talked about earlier, if 5 drones aren't on the field, you're fucked. That team just lost because you didn't launch drones. So
Unless they're not applying damage correctly or something, you're doing something better than them. You're starting at a deficit, which is ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but even
Spartan,
if you think about it, 5 rep drones is
Spartan,
repping power
Spartan
to
has to answer the question.
work out at like
otherwise, chat's gonna
5
revolt.
seconds.
Please
Spartan.
let Spartan answer the question, otherwise chat's gonna revolt.
I mean, yeah, first we had a checklist sort of, but it was mostly just like what guns they have and things like that. Not really things like launching your drones or things that are kind of just on the pilot himself to always do.
Now, what I do know some of the teams like Warlords do, or did in the past, is even though the tournament was 10 players, they actually had 11 in the team. And the 11th man was the person who timed everything, counted every point, because at the end of the day... Yeah, did you have somebody counting points and counting... Well, yeah, counting points and counting time?
I mean, we had somebody watching the stream that was giving us info like that, like who's ahead, stuff like that if we needed it.
I mean, it happened a lot more in practice for us than in the actual thing, because we didn't do too well in the actual thing. But even in the actual thing, yeah, we had like another guy who was telling us, okay, 5 minutes gone, you know, 7.5 minutes gone, 9 minutes gone.
I thought you were going to say you had another guy saying, "Don't worry, you're winning. Don't worry, you're winning," all the way to the end.
No,
Keep
we are
going.
not Caesar. We are not Caesar in that sense. But yeah, and it would be their job to kind of take a look at the stream and say, okay, look, we might be losing this on points, so you need to kill this thing at 2.5 minutes left, or what have you.
This isn't the
So,
real
yeah,
AT tournament. This isn't the real AT tournament. Don't worry about it, boys.
but yeah, that's definitely a thing, Rich, and it's hugely invaluable in my opinion, at the very least. I don't know about the rest of the guys, but I really like having that.
How was it like to field the Alliance tournament ships? Well, obviously without the fear of loss. The wildcard Alliance tournament ships.
Oh, I can't say we used one,
Wouldn't
so
know.
I don't know.
No
We
wild
didn't
card,
use
no
ours.
problem.
Yeah.
We
I think
used ours. We kind of just... I mean,
So
we
I think-
had a Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Lucky.
I was just gonna say, like, we had a couple of guys, myself included, that had practiced with a few of the AT ships that we might field, and we ended up fielding it just because we lost our first match, so we felt like we needed to at least try to win the second one, which we did successfully do. I would say that yeah, the sense of not
Why
really
isn't there
caring
any
if we
trash
lost
talk on
them. I mean,
Trash
obviously you
Talk
want to win
Tuesday?
you want to win the match, so you don't want to lose the ships. But like there isn't that that actual factor of having lost them on Tranquility and all this. That might have actually played a factor. We kind of nonchalantly threw them out there. So I mean, yeah, that probably did play a little bit of a role.
I think you guys are forgetting the biggest factor in these tournaments, which is the amount of times someone spams some catchy tagline in the Twitch chat, because
spams a flower to give somebody power. You know? But no, real quick, Loki. Like, what was the Lollipops wildcard?
Why isn't
I'm
there
just
any
curious
trash
as to,
talk
to
on
what
Trash
you used
Talk
to win that
Tuesday?
second match, because a lot of teams that used their wildcards and a lot of teams that didn't use their wildcards at the same time lost, and so yeah.
I wish I could tell you that, because I'm in Dread Bomb, so I have no idea what their
Got 'em.
wild card would have been.
Ow.
So we use Malices. We had like an armor control comp, and we used Malices to just kind of. They went right after the other team's Zarmazad, and basically just capped it out.
That's a pretty solid choice.
So here I'm going to try
the
my
Malice was so popular this time around.
Yeah.
I'm going to try my attempt at a summary here. What I heard was, no, you can't just be an F1 monkey. You need to train. Theory crafting is useful, but it can't be the only thing. Like everything else in life, the more you practice, the better you get. And if you think you can just do it because, hey, we are great in other places of space, that ain't going to carry you. You really need to do the work to win. And I think that's what I heard happened on Spartan's side.
I think to a large degree, the AT traditionally is semi-transient. Like you'll have dudes that are on one team one year that go to another team, maybe because some of their friends are on that team, or whatever. Maybe there's political shit going on. But the idea, Templars Calcef have been in tournaments a lot. Like something that Spartan's obviously really, really invested in. So even just aside from the amount of time that he spent training, I really kind of feel like those probably years of developing a team, of guys that are kind of all doing it over and over and over again together, and learning how to not only succeed individually and pilot and all that other stuff, but then also kind of cohesively come in as a unit and do it, and the communication and all that other stuff. It's probably massively valuable. It probably gave them a massive advantage. What I do like is that the bar to get into these kinds of things, or like the financial bar, is a little bit lower than other AT. Well, yeah, I mean it's not super expensive, which kind of gives newer kind of people, like, so Dreadbomb, for example, Newer Alliance was able to kind of just start up, do their first year. Didn't cost them a whole lot. We gained some really cool experience. I think that's actually probably one of the most positive things of the players and Event T kind of taking this over from
I don't know
from the
about that.
traditional AT.
I really don't know about that. Like the Goonswarm AT15 team, the Goonswarm AT16 team, before the whole thing was kind of shuttered. Let's put it that way. That was all like team funded. It was all donations that like funded that team run every time. So
Really?
yeah, like there was
Since
never
when?
any there was never any alliance funding that went into the AT runs for GSF in the last couple
Now,
of years.
to be fair, you were talking about GSF though, right? Like
Specifically GSF, but
right, so
it doesn't need to have that huge alliance backing and alliance investment to go in and have some fun and do some learning. Like it's
well,
I mean the AT15, AT16, the GSF team. AT15, we went through the kind of feeder rounds and fought our way in, and then we won a match, and then AT16 we won a match. Like it wasn't as if it was a terrible showing. So to do that off the back of just donations was a lot of fun.
the other thing that we kind of touched on, but I'd like to bring up too, is I talked about and others talked about how it's a different style of gaming, right? And I feel like myself personally, I don't know about anybody else, but like I actually get the fucking shakes when I go into a tournament match, right? Because it's like if I die in a ship, I'm like, oh well, and like I have an ET ship, and I used to get the shakes all the time flying that thing, so that was like my huge adrenaline rush, and I got comfortable with it and stuff. But like even it being free, right? Like not free, but pretty cheap to enter this tournament, and then no cost to the actual ships, right? Like you guys were just stating. Still, it was kind of like I shook a little. I was like, you know what? This is like we got to make sure it's right. Like we have to play properly. So it's not just like going on TQ, you lose a hurricane or you lose an expensive Vindy like I did yesterday, or just anything, right? Like this was like this is win or lose, and especially like in the loser bracket, like if we fuck this up, we're out of the tournament, and who knows when the next thing is, right? So it brings a like what I feel anyway is like a next level, which everybody should try out because it's like you just enhances your game kind of.
Yeah, I'm not losing a ship. I'm letting my team down.
If I can just kind of
yeah, that's the other thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to just kind of counter what Dirk had said previously. I just like to kind of, I don't know, point out, I suppose, that like the average Condi member when you guys were doing those tournaments may have been making a few more iskies than the average like line member in Eve. You know what I mean? So while yes, they were able to do those things and all that, you guys kind of have a reputation for crabbing really, really well, empire building really, really well. And I mean, I kind of feel like that must have played a factor. My point was more geared towards the fact that like Dread Bomb is, I think, a year old last week or the week before, something like that. And we were actually able to do it. So that was
a fair
point.
Dude.
That's a fair point.
Are you
And,
attempting
yeah, happy
to
birthday.
segue into the next topic of discussion for the evening, Loki?
Also,
Is-
people want more shit from Spartan. So Spartan, come on, talk to us, buddy.
Spartan shit.
If we're talking about like the barrier to entry to entering, I don't know. First tournament we just ran off donations. After that, it was just winnings from whichever tournaments we had played to keep going. So
Spartan, can you tell us why the Goons went 0-2? Can you break it down for us?
I actually don't remember how their matches went.
Execution errors. Just talk about execution errors.
Do you think it's because the Pappy is right next door to their home stations?
Okay, wait. I have a nerd question for Spartan actually. Why you guys fielded Paladins? I think maybe a couple
Why
times.
isn't
At least
there any
one time
trash
that I
talk
can
on
remember
Trash
from you guys.
Talk Tuesday?
Why did you guys go with Paladins? I actually want to know.
Because they're amazing. They track well and they hit out to like 80 kilometers. And they tank a lot, so.
Fair enough.
That's
Just
why
because
they got
like
banned a lot by everybody.
All right, so you're saying like the Paladin is like the one Bastion module-less Marauder that we kind of want to use in the AT tournament, possibly?
Yeah, I mean, I saw some interesting like Golem comps and stuff like that, but
The thing about the Paladin is it's got the like 0 to 80, right? The Scorch Megapulse range with the tank, with the application due to the fact that Scorch actually still tracks at that range. Like that none of the other have, right? Like the Chronos only is like 0 to 30 with blasters. The Golem has torpedoes, which up until today were garbage.
Nah, cruise golems in the AT.
Yeah,
Cruise
okay,
Golems
sure.
are strong.
And you know the Vargar has its own issues, so.
So
the Paladin
Scorch OP, basically.
It is Scorch OP, basically, yeah.
Cool.
And the Paladin can be like a silent rep boat as well, right?
Can't do reps on non-Logi ships. But Sager, you pointed out how like Goons were fighting a war. I just want to give the Goon team props. There's a big war going on in Eve, and Goons actually fielded a team. Some others did too. I think there was like a fraternity team and there was a test team. But Pandemic Legion did not field one, so I'm really disappointed. At least Randolph, please respond.
I think Brave
There wasn't
did
even
too. Brave got a bunch
pandemic.
of.
Brave did really well.
Brave had a bunch of good fights. Yeah, we know that.
But I mean, where was Horde as well?
Horde had Gobbins, and Gobbins did tournaments years and years ago, but he refuses to acknowledge them now, so who gives a fuck?
Wow.
Can you do me a huge favor?
So Is that right?
Can you say hi to? Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, it's me. Can you say hi to Jer Bear Native for me?
What?
Great.
It's a great joke.
So
What?
we're gonna
Yeah, I totally
we're gonna
didn't
go
get
ahead
that
and
either.
use Riker's fantastic segue to move on to the next topic.
That was a fantastic segue. Sure.
Yeah, 'cause
just
it was
before we move away from the tournament thing, I do
Alright.
just
Somebody
want to
said
shout.
Subway?
Before we move
I have a
away, I was gonna give
real quick
you
shout out.
a moment to do like a final
All right.
thought on the tournament stuff, so you could
All right,
have your
sorry.
shout out. If you let me host my own show, Dirk.
Oof.
Jesus.
Kick him
No,
off.
you're bad. Shut up.
All right, I'm
Keep
quiet.
going
I'm
off.
quiet for 5 minutes.
No, you want to host? Go host.
All right. Any shout outs from the folks who participated in the Alliance Open?
No, cool. Right, moving on.
I expect Fuegan's next year. Yeah, Fuegan's number 1.
Just a shout out to Even, T-Team, and CCP everywhere for setting all that up.
Yeah, big time shout out to them, man. That's a lot of work. And I will say a shout out to anybody that is new. Come and join it, and I'll see y'all next.
Yeah, for sure. The Event team, CCP Aurora, just everyone that participated and made it such a huge fun thing to be engaged with. And I will just shout out Sothrasil, who is already talking about another Anger Games. So hopefully we'll be getting at least another tournament out of this, even if the Alliance Open isn't necessarily an annual thing. So looking forward to that as well.
And good
Now-
games. It's very good, so I'm looking forward to that too. If they do
You
that.
said Fwagon number 1, but
Sure
you
did.
guys didn't even make it into round 4 of the losers bracket.
We didn't even enter. Oh my god. I don't know who didn't.
I blame. You know what? I blame the rabbi. I blame Rabbi Adam Deathstroke. He did not enter.
Just blame
he didn't.
Rich.
Nah. Don't blame me. Don't blame me.
Just
Blame
blame
him. Blame. One person had a kid. The other person was moving house. Another person was moving house.
Didn't want to front the Plex. We see how it is, Rich.
We're very poor. Rabbi Adam Deathstroke. He was. It was Sabbath. He wasn't able to do it. He was, doing those other things. We couldn't get him to do it. Don't worry. We beat him over the head for it.
Sure.
We'll get him next time.
But on one last quick thing, I will agree with everything that everybody said. It's fun. I do hope there's more tournaments, even if they're not big ass tournaments like this Alliance Open, right? If it's small things, if it's just things to get the players doing different things, right? And that's what he was about. Like, it's an open sandbox. Do whatever you want. So if there's the possibility to do something, just try it. And if you don't like it, don't do it. But it's something new, and there's no reason not to try.
This is true.
I had a shitload of fun. It was a lot of fun.
All right. So we spent a full hour almost talking about the new version of the Alliance tournament that we got this
You're
year.
very welcome.
Thank you for those of you who came on to speak of that. If you came on just to speak of that, this is now your moment where if you want to head out, you can. Because
don't
we're
have
going to
to.
start. You don't have to, obviously, but we're going to start talking about something else because last weekend another Keepstar got anchored in Delve, which is the current hotbed of a gigantic war in EVE. And everybody seems to like not think that's a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal, right?
Redline,
It's
I'm
playing in real
here's the
fake
question.
Delve, dude. It's fake Delve.
I'm
Sure
so
it's
I'm
fake?
so
Question,
confused.
wait a
I'm
second.
so confused. I'm
So we
confused. Hold on.
transition from the AT grid is the real AT grid to Delve isn't the real Delve.
Well,
I
hold
like
on.
it.
Here's the
They can
question.
keep changing the
For a
goalpost, dude. It
war,
doesn't matter.
don't you have to have an opposition?
Yeah, everything
that's a
does
fair
seem
point.
to land uncontested as of late, right?
Right.
Not
so
really, actually. Have you ever
where's
read
the war?
1984? Have you ever read 1984? Have you ever read 1984? You don't necessarily have to have an opponent. I'm very confused though, because like I was listening to Talking in Stations and it's a big deal and everyone's talking about how much of a big deal this is. And then I watched another Eve news source and it's not a big deal at all. No big deal. Same Super Rangers, same. Pepsi got to go fuck themselves. So, I mean, I don't know, guys. What do you think? I
shit's
don't know
gonna
what
go
to
the
make of this.
exact same fucking way that everyone that tribute went. Goons are gonna do exactly the same as fucking PL and NC did. Choose the fights carefully, the ones they know they can win. When it gets to the point they know they can't, they'll just pick up and leave.
Major
However,
difference with that though. Oh, sorry.
If
Go ahead.
if they do that, it's a very strong strategy. But when NCPL did it, it was not a strong strategy.
I think we were cowards, is how that was.
Yeah, that's what
phrased.
they said. We were
we were
cowards.
100% cowards back then.
A big difference on that actually is that like I've touched on this on several shows at this point. NC leadership, literally, we had an alliance meeting and it was discussed what was going on, and it was put into very clear terms for the members that we would be doing this kind of defensive thing where if we found that we could engage the enemy, we would definitely do that, but not to expect us to just totally defend our space and like a sweeping victory and all this other shit, right? Like it was put into very real terms what to expect. On the other hand, in this war, in this war, it seems like that was definitely not done by Goon Swarm leadership at all. In fact, the opposite would be true. It was more like we're going to defend our space at all costs. These guys don't know what they're doing. Spin. We're gonna win.
We're puppies. Don't forget.
So I just want to double check. Villy, are you at liberty to disclose the strategic importance of the Keepstar and T5Z?
The strategic importance.
We found a system. Thought, yeah, fuck it, it's going there.
That's quite a odd way to phrase it, I guess. T5Z is our new staging. It's next door to 1DQ. It has superior jump ranges to 1DQ and allows us to basically smother all jump ranges within 1DQ's jump range. It also creates a situation of tension where there's kind of this constant ongoing battle basically on the gate. So at any point, there could be 5, 10, 50 to 100 to 300 people fighting each other almost constantly back and forth between that gate from our side to their side, from our side to their side, which creates this natural drain on the goons that will eventually work in our favor over time. As well, the ability to crush out one of their primary exits is good, and at the point when we are able to snap the 1DQ jump bridge, that will further exacerbate the problem for them. On top of that, obviously, it allows us to instantly reship for the Siege of 1DQ when the time comes to make that play.
Now, Billy, I would like to ask you a question because I was watching another program and a monitor there, or not monitor, a person that's talking, said that with your move from where you live in Esoteria and moving to Delve is due to in its move over there to attack your space.
Their staging, I hope, got fragged like 3 days later after they announced the deployment, dude. So that's irrelevant at this point. It's just spin.
So I'll talk actually because I actually kind of enjoy the subject because it's very good to kind of wash the waters of spin away. So Initiative deployed or announced they were deploying to Esoteria with a surprise alpha operation and moved all the way down from 1DQ all the way through Stain into Northern Esoteria. They missed the timer they had started the op for, and then eventually decided to settle in HD4K in Bastion's fort. We then promptly reinforced the fort and then put the fort into Hull a day and a half later in front of Initiative's US time zone because Initiative has no US time zone and the fort was timed to US time zone. Initiative was then forced to do 2 to 3 to 5 different more move ops to then move their staging back out of Esoteria into Stain. From Stain, they did their first operation where they went into the northern ESO pocket and shot some structures to like a jump bridge I think Logi was anchoring. And then they brawled with ProGod. I think they won the fight by 2 bills, 16 to 14 or something like that. and then they went home. That is literally the only operation initiative conducted in Esoteria. The Fortizar that they caused to get reinforced because they staged runs for Bastion got destroyed. The replacement Fortizar that Bastion put down got destroyed. And the initiative has literally conducted one main fleet from Stain the entire deployment so far. And when they decided to evac another 250 capitals from Delve yesterday, and people were like, oh, they're going to Esoteria. I can tell you they didn't go to Esoteria. They went
to Fountain, yeah?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
as
they did.
much as, yes, initiative is technically partially deployed to Stain, the deployment has been all of a wet fart, and the pressure continues to be almost entirely from Ferrata and Bastion. And to try and take credit from them and give it to initiative seems a bit unfair.
Imagine having your alliance unironically being called a wet fart.
Oh my god, dude. I'm a little confused with that too, because the whole spin originally was that Test were busy at home, they were not committed to the war, blah 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 blah, and then a small group like the Bastion move into Esoteria and actually begin doing quite well. That would lead me to assume that that tactic was deployed mostly because Tests were probably not at home and they're probably more involved with the war than certain Goonswarm leadership people might care to admit, maybe?
Oh, I mean, of course, correct, right? Like, during the second FWST Keepstar timer, we made the decision not to worry about losing 8 iHubs in the north of Esoteria because they were all kind of like the core harassment pockets, and they were incredibly difficult to hold normally, let alone we're in this level of a war. So we're just like, whatever, let's lose them. And so then we lost those 8 or so. And then we didn't lose basically anything else for 2 months. And since the RA and Farah increased pressure, I think we've lost a total of 4 more over 4 weeks. So, and we've kind of gotten AOM involved in that theater now for the last week, and they've retaken one of the iHubs, and they'll probably end up retaking at least a couple more of them in the coming weeks. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, this does serve as a distraction to Test, absolutely. And we are committed to moving out of Esoteria eventually. But for the moment, Esoteria is still our home, and we're still going to defend it, and we're not interested in just evacing or letting anybody kill it. We're going to leave at our own pace and our own time, and when we choose to, shut the door, we'll shut the door, and nobody will shut it for us.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to clear up some spin that was going on, and to me, it's I hate spin. I like honesty.
Well, you're playing the wrong game, my friend.
I don't think so.
Perhaps watching the wrong shows, then would be the best way to say it.
Yeah, maybe.
We've actually made it a point recently to, stop referring to that kind of stuff as spin and instead just refer it as to what it actually is, which is just flat out lies. Like, you got people literally sitting on Twitch lying to you for an hour every week, and people just eat it up, man. It's tragic.
Yeah, it's propaganda, right? It's propaganda. It's not even spin. It's lies, which is in this version is propaganda. That's what it is.
Well, anyways, that's T5Z Keepstar. So what else is happening, DJ? I know you wanted to talk about something. What's on your mind, bud?
In particular, I wanted to talk about. I just hadn't been on here in a while, so I figured I'd,
shit, it's DJ.
DJ Eldard.
Yeah, so if you haven't noticed, we're joined by the Elite Pandemic Legion FC. Preeb. Oh, Preeb
boy.
left, never mind. DJ's here too.
That was good.
PL besides headliner.
There's no lead FC in PL besides headliner.
Said Elite. Elite.
Oh,
you'll always be number one DJ.
Don't talk about Muck like that, dude.
Oh yeah, Muck Barovian too. Muck Barovian, probably the best FC US time zone has ever seen, according to CCP.
I'll shout out to Muck Bavarian. I used to fly with him back in Booster days. NC dot days.
Wait, what about Tachi, dude? You gonna do him like that?
Tachi's a cute girl.
Saying CCP said Muck is the #1 pilot NA, so
I gotta ask, like, Tachi, like, does he watch anime or something? Because I feel like that sounds like just. I gotta ask. Is
Yes.
he big
Yeah.
on?
Yes, 100%.
Tachi doesn't watch any anime. I don't know what you're talking about. That is a lie.
He
That's
has
a
a
lie.
anime
That is
Tumblr
a lot
blog.
of skin
Propaganda.
for your teeth right there, buddy.
He does
He's
have an
actually got
anime Tumblr blog. I've seen it. It's very cute.
No. What?
It's cute.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I should probably
TL
divert
is
this
still alive,
conversation before it no longer becomes Twitch acceptable.
Oh, it's
Turns out
fine.
the Itachi station has no power converters. Instead, it's literally just like weeb porn, dude.
So I do want to talk just a little bit. I want to shout myself out. I led 2 fleets this weekend.
Not 3.
Two?
Not
Yeah,
3.
two whole
1.5.
fleets.
Not 3.
You
I
got
mean,
backseated on one, dude,
I-
so it's 1.5.
I led
2
a
and 3
fleet
quarters,
too,
maybe?
Redline.
I didn't backseat one. What are you talking
No,
about?
DJ backseated you.
When?
I mean,
night.
DJ's probably always kind of backseating you, if I'm being honest.
When
Dude,
when
Redline's
my
my best
Pharaxes
friend.
when
Calm
my
down, dude.
Pharaxes killed all of 4 ships on the battlefield?
Kind of
Wow.
on the respawn, DJ.
Wow, Redline. Could have been more.
If what? If I was flying Munins?
But Redline, you gotta
Possibly.
remember,
Still
sitting on
bad.
a
Still
Titan
bad.
doesn't count a fleet.
Always
Yes,
approach
it
the
does.
Kikimaras with
What are
Munins.
you talking
Always
about?
approach the Kikimaras with Munins.
Oh, come on, dude. Don't
Hey, only
bring
one
that.
person in this channel has been kicked out of NC, not Loki.
I was not kicked. Whoa! I was not kicked out of
Well,
NC.
Loki
Dot.
of his own accord, I will give him that.
No, I think it was removed.
On great fucking terms, by the way. Me and Vince are besties. Don't even start.
Oh, let me ask your old CEO.
Yeah, ask
I
Nidus,
think
dude.
you're removed.
Nidus will say something like, Loki is a nice boy, but he's not very serious. Like, he'll say something like that.
Does not play well with others.
Neither does I, doll.
Well, this
He does
conversation
not play well in another sandbox.
This
Dude,
conversation
Lloyd's just
devolved quickly, huh?
Dude, Lloyd's just got AWOXed.
What do you mean he got AWOXed?
Yeah, who?
My Broho handlebar was the top damage, dude.
Oh, Jesus.
Own
Broho.
fleet killed him.
That makes sense.
That's why you don't let Broho
Well,
FC.
because nobody else is fighting us, we gotta fight ourselves.
See, you
Even
say
on
that.
the fleet, Dalek?
You
Not
say
on the
that.
kill now.
But the thing is that I'm not gonna let you say that because
You guys have been AWOXing Redline for years, dude.
Because there have been plenty of fights recently. It's literally the same exact thing that we did last year in fucking Tribute. And honest to God, I'm just tired of hearing people say, "Why
You
won't
can
you
get a
fight us?
fight.
Why won't you fight us?"
Well,
It's
no,
fucking
It
stupid.
is literally
I'm talking U.S. time
undock.
zone.
You can literally
Well, no, I'm
undock,
talking U.S.
warp
time
to
zone.
You can literally undock from our staging, warp 10k to the gate, jump in and get a fight.
The most depressing thing I've seen this war is Goons fucking gigaform for that T5Z keep start and then just drop them on 1DQ and hell camp that gate for 4 hours.
That was
3,000
pretty sad.
people. Yeah, there was 3,000 people they formed just to stick them on a gate and camp it.
Yeah. They want us to come into 1DQ and RFI have
Mm.
line in the sand, dude.
That's line in sand. I mean, you guys have had some amazing fights though, like game-breaking
yeah.
fights. I was also there for. I was there for the ones where the supers died. I was definitely there for those. But I mean, even on a subcap level, you guys have had some really good fights, especially early. I know it's kind of died down a little bit. I can ask a question, I guess, to Villy about this, but like, how much of this is literally just let's get a secondary Keepstar close to our objective before Christmas comes or before American Thanksgiving comes, and then the holiday season kind of starts? Was that a factor in the whole decision process? If you can speak on that.
The holidays played no factor in the decisions. I Canadian, so I don't even track your guys's weird holiday choices.
I'm also Canadian, Villy. Relax.
Okay, but no, the American Thanksgiving played no part in it. We've known we needed to move up for a long time, and we really wanted to go to our final war staging as soon as possible, so people could truly begin to kind of move in and set up shop for the long haul without having to worry about doing any more move ups. We've restaged like 8 times this war, so it's a pretty awesome moment to be finally like, we're not going anywhere else unless they're evacing. So,
So are you
it's
personally guaranteeing me that I won't have to pack all my shit up, fire sale the shit that I can't fit in my Naglfar, lose at least 50 cat boosters, and jump to a new Keepstar anytime soon?
Don't you have a super carrier?
Yeah, but it's not
I'm
subbed.
pretty sure we've had this conversation like 3 times.
Where is your super carrier at?
YZ9.
My God.
Where's your
Didn't you
Titan?
fucking buy his snake pod at one point? Or amulet pod, whatever it is now?
I offered to buy him one.
I have a pod.
Wait, you don't have a fucking amulet pod for your super dude?
He didn't even know how to refit in space.
Oh, that's not true. I
Oh
just
my
didn't know where to put the
gosh.
fighters I couldn't fit.
That's a lie.
Oh,
We
come
were
on, dude.
doing
You weren't
some
even
super
there.
Opentino,
You
and I
weren't even
told people,
there.
yes, I was.
You weren't even
We're
there,
doing
dude.
some super Opentino. I said, hey, everybody refit your supers to this, and it was still when we were living on the Fortizar. And he had no idea how to do that. I had to tell him the drop is necessary. He's like, oh, that's why we have nesters.
That is false. Those
That's probably
all of this
100% true.
all
I
of
think the
this
best
is
part,
lies.
best part is 5 minutes later, I told him he had to FC the supers, so just jumped in.
Helios, how close are you to the big red button? I need to know right now.
I'm beginning to see
I'm
why
not-
DJ is not invited.
I'm like 1,000 off, dude, so you're gonna have to sit here and take this beating for a while.
I'm beginning to see why DJ doesn't get invited to the show more
The big
often.
red
This is
button,
amazing,
50K.
DJ.
Yeah.
So DJ, how's PL doing? Are you guys gaining more people?
Yeah, we're doing great.
Good.
Even
know
though
it-
he's only
doing
there
great.
for like
Best corp.
3 months, I know use a good corp, to be honest.
Fuck off. Habit number one. Yeah.
I know you get free fuel. That's the best thing.
Sino, all you
Everybody
get is
in our
free.
alliance,
Everybody gets free fuel. What?
everybody in the alliance gets free fuel.
Do you remember that one time there was a graph of SRP and DJ was the highest for
Yeah.
Logi SRP? Because all he did was
You know who was
feed.
second? You know who was second? Blazing Bunny. He's not even in our alliance.
That makes it better.
Let's just ram
So with
these
this-
groups.
So with this war, do you think we will get into 1DQ by Christmas?
I don't think. I mean, setting timetables is like.
Well, it depends what you mean by getting to 1DQ.
Yeah.
Well, let's say the iHub.
Do I think we'll take the iHub by Christmas? I'd say it'd be a coin flip. I'd say we might, but we might not. It's like
Setting timetable. Like, there's no point in setting timetables. Like, we're here as long as it takes. So
Well,
like
we have just under 1,800 structures left to kill. We've got only about 20 IHUBs left to kill, or no, not 20, like 30 total IHUBs to kill. Wow, when you include the whatchamacallit, Helm's Deep, that's
oh yeah,
24.
I forgot how big Helm's Deep was.
Yeah. But we're making progress bit by bit, day by day. Things are getting smoother and easier for the most part. It's just a process. There's nobody on the Pappy side that really feels any need to rush or to run. I think probably 2 months ago we had some people that were feeling like that. We're like, no, we're gonna take our time, and then everybody kind of got on board, right? And there's nobody that's worried about the timetable at this point. We've been here for 4 months. We're gonna be here for 10 more if that's what it takes.
I think the only
Now-
reason people wanted to rush more is because of how quickly Fountain went. So it felt like we could do this really quickly. But I think most of us expected this to take a very
Many
long
months.
time. Yeah, I mean, I expected to be.
Plus,
in
you have
Fountain
two
now.
different opponents too.
Yeah, I expected to be finishing up Fountain.
Well, it's entirely possible we
Yeah.
could be finishing a Fountain right now, right? If they would have played it differently.
Yeah,
Yeah. But what about attacking Keepstars? Because I've heard some people, I've read too that why have we not attacked any Keepstars in Delve?
So Keepstars offer a large defensive advantage to the defender, and that's it. they're literally just strong points in a system, right? Yeah, we could absolutely go after the 1-2 Keepstar, but then that's giving our enemy a opportunity to have a chance, right? Like like if we continue on the path we're going, where we take slow and steady and methodical, we're 99% chance to win here. If we start, trying to push the timetable up, trying to take risky fights on Keepstars, the odds of that go down to like, I don't know, 60-30, 60-40, something like that. Like, there's so much more room for error when you give people these massive fights where just something as simple as lag can, determine the battle far more than anything else, right? So, why are we not attacking Keepstars? Because they provide the defender a massive advantage, and we don't need to. There's just no real reason to.
So we're just doing like the army does, bleed them out.
Well, that's always been the goal. Literally from day, like, I've said, I'm sure, at least from like week 1, the goal here is to bleed them out, choke them out, like slow and steady.
Well, that's how we got the SNEC coalition from.
Yeah,
this.
right. Like,
the plan has never changed since like
since day
the
one.
beginning, yeah.
I really like how the rhetoric is like, well, why aren't you guys doing things more aggressively? Why are you like slowly constricting us and biding your time and all that? It's like, because that's
Not winning
literally what the
fast enough,
plan has
low-key.
been
Yeah.
the entire fucking time. And then somebody said Anaconda Coalition, which I thought was horrible. Constrictor Coalition, maybe would have been, or BOA, not sure. But the point is like, somebody said that, and then the goons jumped on, oh well, they're snakes. And and then the overall, sorry, I just like totally lost my point. The overall spin was, well, they're just a bunch of snakes, blah 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 blah. Why are they doing exactly what they said they were going to do the entire time that they've been talking? It's
I just
funny.
wish that we could fight, I wish that we could decide how we're gonna prosecute our own war without having some delightfully weird gentleman telling us that we're doing everything wrong. That would
Well, I
be
mean,
fun.
Who cares though, really? Like, I mean, like, at the end of
I
the
kind
day,
of do.
does
I'm
it really
deeply
matter?
offended.
But here's the question: what is wrong to what is right? Because what we're doing is right. You want to bleed them out. You want to slow the progression of what they're doing, so that they end up getting bored, don't log on, and then you go blow them up quicker.
Fair. Like, I agree with everything that was said, but if any of you guys know about the what was it, the thing that Pandemic Court announced, how is that going to affect the war, depending on how that goes?
God damn it, Riker. God fucking damn it. We're not there yet.
What
Yeah,
did
we're
Horde
not.
announce? What did
They're
Horde
gonna
announce?
they're gonna go shit on Fountain and what, or Init and 1-Q, or Init and Fountain from T5ZI.
Fucking it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I mean, true. Fucking it.
You
Absolutely.
know what also happened? You know what also happens every day? We sit here in T5ZI and it evacs more ships every day.
It's true.
Basically,
But I thought
they're
they're
just
living
heading back
in
to Fountain.
Yeah.
100% just heading back to Fountain. Gonna try to
Staging
shack
out
up
a
there.
YZ, I think.
Yeah, I thought they're moving into nullsec Fountain.
Yeah, I think
Or
the funny
NPC
thing is,
Fountain.
like, they had some Roracle tackled by 10 dudes, and their FC said, yeah, we can't form more than 20, so I guess the Roracle can just die, and then he went AFK for the rest of the night. Well, one of their Roracles was just feeding in a belt.
Jeez. All right, well, I guess we can talk about the thing. We can talk about that. So, is that just a Horde thing? Like, do we know any more about that? I don't want to like give away plans, but it seems kind of confusing to me because like there's still a lot of work to do in Delve, and
Right.
Like,
So
I'm reading what Gobbin said now. Like, I don't really like. I think he's just saying it like, hey, we can also do this. Like, there's more opportunities than just Delve.
well,
Big
what
fights in Delve.
what it
I think
made it
he's
sound
telling
like,
people, yeah, like that
and
you can go like do small gang shit in Fountain is what it sounds like to me reading it.
see, and what I got from it, and I could be completely wrong on this, and that's probably true because I, maybe didn't comprehend it the same way anybody else did. But I read it as more of those things like once one DQ is done, then like that's the goal for Horde. And once they hit the goal, they'll consider it, mission successful and
I
call
mean,
it a
to be
day.
honest, like, I think in it is in the mindset that this war is like just about goons dying when like I didn't realize like their
Everybody hates
alliance.
initiative just as much as
Yeah.
goons or more in most
Yeah.
cases.
Like a lot of people here fighting will just as much go and kill in it. Everybody wants to kill in it. Like they're just as much hated as goons, like Billy said. Like they're not
Why?
going to get out of this scot free.
Oh,
I
because they're
mean,
part of it, part of an initiative. They're part of the initiative's part of the Imperium, so they're gonna be going after them
they
too.
talk a lot of game for like basically never doing anything in their alliance's history without having their hand held. Like
It's important to remember that, like, for the last 2 years, initiative would basically go out and farm and do whatever, while like hiding under Daddy Goon's skirt and like then talk like mad shit about how fucking epic they were, and everybody was just looking at them like, "You motherfucker, I'm gonna get you
Yeah.
someday."
The
Like,
last time Init had a successful deployment without Goon Swarm. Like never.
Well, here's the question: weren't they up in Veil of Silent in Ob, stationed up in that area,
Yeah,
trying to attack that area, and then they got
we
wiped
wrecked
out
'em.
within 3 days? Yeah, and then they got sent
We
home.
like absolutely dumpstered them every time they formed a fleet.
or
Dude,
when they went
remember-
up to help GOTG and like Pro got deployed up there with fucking hurricanes, demolished them, and then Goons had to come fucking like destroy
We
our structures and bail them out.
Dude, when they were in the Ob, I should.
When they were deployed with GOTG, we dropped a Fortizar in their staging and they couldn't do shit. Like,
Yeah,
This night we killed Brisk first.
back when they were in Ob, I ran like a Drekovac fleet and fucking just shat on all of their shit. And the response was literally just Thrashers. So they literally fed Thrashers to my Drekovac fleet for like the entire time I was reinforcing their stuff. It was amazing.
they got one good
It's like, okay,
fight.
switch off the structure, kill the Thrashers.
One good fight. It was the I want to say I don't remember what iHub it was. Maybe S-K iHub, SKS iHub, where they dropped supers on us in China
that
time
was
zone.
lame.
But other than that, like pretty much did nothing. And then they're like, then they pinged, oh, we have to go mine moons this weekend, so we're moving our supers back, but we'll be back, PL and NC, and then just
they
never came back.
Oh, totally didn't have anything to do with. Well, I mean, NC Duck kind of. Well, actually, no. PL was there too.
Yeah.
We fucked around with their Sovereign, Cloud Ring a little bit, shat on
Yeah.
Blurkus because that's always a fun thing to do. Hell
It
yeah,
is
dude. That was good times.
and it just does a lot of shit talking and can never back it up. So now they're going to get their shit pushed in again.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I remember like month 1 of this war. I think I was like I just like tried to open like a general dialogue with Buss. I'm like, this stuff's going on. Maybe we can work something out at some point. He would just give me the most like dumbass fucking stupidity answers, and I was just like, okay, bud. I had the common courtesy to like talk to you and be nice, and everything was like fully diplomatic and stuff, and he just like just like pure like shit bird kind of answers, and I was like, all right, everything in it's got coming to them. They've dug that grave pretty deep, and that of course doesn't even come into the whole taking in the GOTG refugees part, or the fucking bot farms of Fountain and everything else. So.
But wait, I thought according to them, Fraternity were the bots.
Well, I'm not going to make comment on whether Fraternity bots or not, but certainly Initiative and their rental program has certainly supported more than their fair share of bots.
Every coalition has at this point. Let's like.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
like, to be honest though, at several points in the last couple of years, Fountain has been one of the most aggressively botted areas in the game. Like, and I'm more than willing to dispute or defend that position, I guess you could say.
Wait, where the fuck is Rich right now? He would totally jump on this.
No, we can't because if he does, somebody will win channel points.
It's like a 5-hour segue.
Now,
Yeah.
if you did look at one thing, what was it? The CCP that pulls the botters and brings them into high sec. Majority of them were from Fountain.
Well, with that, I don't see one of the things that happens with that, and I'm not gonna try to defend anybody that bots in Fountain or anywhere else, but it's you can't really go based on that. I mean, because most of those people should be corpless when they come into the system, and like
Yeah, that's
even
absolutely true.
and even if you're looking at their corp history, like you can't really say, ah, that person was from Init, or that person was from Goons, or that person was from whoever. Like, yeah, they were, but most of those people have been banned for a while, and their ships are just being destroyed. But it's like, you maybe they got reported by that group and everything like that. I just hate the generalization, right? The thing where you say one person in a group does this, so everybody in the group must do this. Unless we're what?
That's how it works. You're clearly guilty by association, right?
Well, I mean
in
that's
some ways.
that's how generalizations work, correct? Which is why people don't like generalizations, essentially.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But generalizing essentially, yeah, it's guilty by association. So like back in the Tina War, a lot of guys in NC Dot took it upon themselves to go and report a lot of people in RR space, and that resulted in RR not bringing in as much Iskies as they otherwise would have been, and it was shocking the amount of people who actually got taken out of there. So I mean, I think every coalition has them. I don't think that making judgments based off of certain criteria are in any way fair, though.
It's just sad that you have to cheat to play this game.
Well,
Nobody
I mean, if the
has to cheat. It's just that there's always groups that will take advantage and go over the line if you let them, right? And CCP only has so many resources to hunt down botters.
And also making it less passive is probably a really good idea, because that obviously adding to
And
the complexity of it, you'd have to actually program. I mean, I'm not going to say that you couldn't script a bot to fuck around with shit with the ESS and all the other stuff, but it'd probably be a little bit more difficult.
so you
Making
mentioned
things
CCP not having the tools to catch bots, but NetEase clearly does, because they have been going crazy on catching bots.
It's been more.
50,000 a week or something?
That also includes RMT.
Okay. Well, I mean,
The majority of it's RMT.
It's on the same level though, right?
Somewhat, but NetEase and Eve Echoes also had an issue where if you wanted someone banned, you just had all your friends report them for cheating, and they got banned because they had an automated system and it was stupidly broken.
That sounds problematic.
It was really fucking
we're
dumb.
gonna have to have a proper like Eve Echoes show.
We really don't like that DJ guy in Eve Echoes. We need to report him en masse and get him removed from the
I'm
game.
pretty sure that's Preeb's character. Started a bunch of characters with other people's names.
Oh, he started a DJ Aldard fucking
I
character?
know,
That's amazing.
and started a bunch
You should
of
feel proud
characters.
about that, DJ.
I did, and then he said he also made like a bunch of other people that I didn't like, so I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just not that cool.
Yeah, but he probably made yours first, though, right? I mean, that's what you gotta hold close to your heart.
That's what I'll tell myself.
He made yours, and he's like,
No.
wait a second, I gotta camouflage this.
Anyways, so in the end, to circle back, I think I'm not Goblin, so I can't speak for him, but I'm pretty sure the intent of that thing was to say we're involved in the Siege of 1DQ. Once we finish Siege of 1DQ, we'll look at where we're going next. On top of that, Fountain is now an open door. Kick the shit out of initiative. It's always fun to
I'm
dodge.
pretty sure even we mentioned it, Billy, at one point when we were talking. We're in T5, we'll be next door to Fountain. We can
Well,
go.
that was one of the crucial reasons we went there. So it would open up the ZXB doorway, and we could literally just shut down all of that stuff. Because as soon as we put a Fortizar in Y2 with the Titan, we literally have control of a large chunk of Fountain. And it's
No,
not like they have
I
a
got a
super
question
umbrella
for
there to resist us. So
I've got a question for you, Billy. With this nerfs that CCP has done with the minerals and the stuff, because you guys are close to your own home area, has it affected your building and ability to bring more ships into the fight?
Not really. Everybody flies hacks. Hacks are like you can build like 100 of them in a friggin' jump freighter or more, depending how basic you're building up from.
Yeah,
Like,
CCP's basically buffed hacks.
yeah, like
Again and
hacks
again
just
and
get like
again,
buff
again,
after
again
buff
and
after
again.
buff. Like indirect buffs is the problem. Like we run TFIs like Tempest Fleet Issues in Asteria, and we run Nightmares. I think we're really the only ones on the Pappy side running like a consistent battleship doctrine. But we're getting actually fucked on the Nightmare end because of the ESS thing. So the price of fucking Nightmares has went up by like literally almost double at this point.
I can sympathize.
Yeah. So
I have no pity.
yeah. But we like our
It's my
TFIs.
it's my
And
favorite
we
ship.
may, yeah. We like our Tempest Fleet Issues though. We may bring those over and maybe some other.
Greatest.
Yeah,
So do you
TFIs
think
are awesome.
So do you think any of these nerfs that the CCP has done has affected our war or the war effort?
Well, I mean, the war wouldn't even be possible if it hadn't taken place, right? Without the scarcity, the war could never have happened. Like, if you're in a situation where you can mine, a trillionisk a day if you really push hard, think about what was thrown at the NPC Delve KEEPSTARS. You could do that every day, forever. Like,
God damn it. I hate
it-
CCP sometimes.
well, it's just a reality, right? Like, there needs to be a balance in terms of what can be drawn out and what a human can realistically throw at a problem, and it just wouldn't have been a feasible war effort to begin with. And certainly, the months leading up to war, we were watching and utilizing other resources to continue to try to catch up to the Imperium's kind of mineral and material and financial status through other means, so that we would be in a position to have this war, right? So it's bit by bit been one of those things that's required a ton of outside factors that to happen, basically.
Well, all I can say is I've still made money this war, so because of all the changes CCP did, honestly, while it probably left the avenue open for you guys to attack, it gave us months of prep of finding other ways to make money. So there are some goons that struggle just because, like, they're just not good at making money in general. I mean, I can't fix that. But most of us have already 4 months been doing other things to make money to, keep going or stock up or
Isn't that
resupply.
kind of sad? Like,
Yeah, the
you've got
games
null sec alliances going to high sec, like in alt
and low
corps to
sec and
make
stuff.
money, and low sec, like, and this whole mineral redistribution thing, like, is this what they wanted?
I don't know.
I don't think that the war will have aligned members aren't going to run out of money and cause this war to end at any point. I think.
Bullshit.
Well,
I'm running out of
it's
money.
already. I can tell you right
Always
now,
poor.
line members running out of money will play a role in the eventual defeat of the Imperium, right? Like, whether people realize it or not, like at the both
like
macro
a
and
very long way down the line, though, that will
I mean, it
happen.
depends.
no, it's not. Like, it's important to remember that the people that are on this show right now, we are a very privileged crew of people who play in EVE Online,
You speak
where
for
we
your
have this.
fucking self, bro. I'm
I
poor
was
as
gonna
shit
say,
and have no
you guys
privilege.
have
money?
That's your
Lots
village.
of money?
Listen,
I
let me finish my point, please. Like, let me finish my point. So, like, the vast majority of people who are in your fleet, like 10, 20, 30% of them, that might be the only ship they have. They might, as soon as that ship dies, for a lot of them, they have to wait for SRP to come and buy another ship, etc. Like, there's tons and tons and tons of pilots. Over half of most fleets would struggle. Half of the pilots from most fleets would struggle to buy another 2, 3, or 4 of those line ships, and they're incredibly reliant on the SRP policies of their alliance to keep them in ships and keep them flowing. And there's so much going on around them that isn't SRP necessarily. I know goons generally SRP almost everything, but like just all those inadvertent side losses like affect the way people play the game a ton. And I know not everybody really realizes it, but like just going around roaming in an interceptor and getting yourself killed can have a real serious effect on a pilot, and at some degree their financial stability too. Right? Like all these things matter. And if Joe line member can't take his 2 Myrmidons out into space and not die in an hour, the game can be very unfun for him very quick if he's got no money in his wallet.
Sounds like Redline.
It's true.
I don't know. Just the assumption that everyone has 6 Oracle accounts is not accurate. It's not even remotely accurate. And many people assume that, like, well, I've got like 10 bill in my wallet. I have no problem paying for Plex in my accounts, and I'm rich. I've got 5 capitals. It's like the average line pilot, the average guy who's flying your Serb or your Eagle or whatever, he's got like 500 mil in his wallet, and when that shit dies, he's got to go buy another one, or he's got to get SRP sorted. Like. And if you're not providing him the space and the ability to do that safely in some manner, he will stop showing up for fleets bit by bit.
Well, I thought it
That's
was
adorable.
Works was the norm.
Because I'm in a smaller alliance that doesn't usually relies on alts more. So, but yeah, that's a good point, Billy.
I mean, you can keep
To
thinking
Billy's
that
point-
SRP.
To Billy's point, like I'm still waiting on SRP for my jackdaws, so
Go ahead, sorry, Don.
I was gonna say you can keep thinking SRP's that hard. Like,
what do you mean SRP's that hard?
That they have to wait for it. The subcaps are SRP'd almost in the middle of the fleet. That's how fast our SRP works.
Well, not for
They don't have to wait.
That's not really. I mean, I wish all SRP worked that quick, but I know your guys and I know our guys are not in the middle of fleet SRP sorted. I know goons can take anywhere from 1 to 7 days. I know ours are sometimes 1 to 14 days, depending on how many guys. Like it's just a matter of paperwork. If there's 1,000 losses in a day, the SRP teams don't always get through them the next day. Like I know your guys do great jobs, but like
yeah, it's that high for sure. It's just because of the backlog, but
yeah, I don't think he was saying it takes a while to you guys get them a ship. It just takes a while for you to actually see that the person needs the ship, like see the actual request for it.
it depends. He said it depends on the size of the fleet, because like, yeah, when we're whelping $1 trillion into a KEEPSTAR, yes, it's going to potentially take some time. I got on my SRP in a day.
But it's
from
important to
those.
remember, when a pilot is going from one ship to the next entirely based on SRP, that means that's all they get to do, right? Like if I have 200 mil in my wallet and I've got like my Serb and my Jackdaw, guess what? I get to go on Serb fleets and I get to go on Jackdaw fleets. I don't get to do any fun roaming. I don't get to do any camp because I'm broke, right? Like all of these things play a role in the way the game is played by your line members. And
the thing you get, like, people don't have to be broke. Like, we have so many programs to tell you how to make even pittance of money to keep yourself
okay,
going.
let's talk about some of them then.
Which ones do you want to know?
Are you looking for like money making tips, Billy?
No. I want you to go over the ways for a single account or dual account player to make money as a member of the Imperium right now.
Credit card
is always good. You
Say
can
what,
start out small. You can always start out small, work your way up. You can do gas mining. You can
Gas
do relic
mining.
hunting. Hey, the low sec gas, those pockets can have 2, 3, 4, 500 mil in them each. And if you're by yourself,
so now our pilot is off in low sec, not in Imperium space, right?
just kill yourself real quick. There's a ton of NPC stations. Then you just fly back out there later. Or you have a jump
strongly
pod.
urge all goons.
You're
I strongly urge all goons to go gas mining in low sec. Please go.
The point, I believe the point that Billy is trying to make, and Billy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the point is that these people that are coming to nullsec to live the nullsec life are being told to go to lowsec and highsec to make money, instead of being able to make money freely in their space, while other alliances
tell you
like
everything.
Test, Horde,
And it's important to remember that when they go to low sec or when they go to high sec, those are usually highly specialized skill sets to make reasonable amounts of money in low sec or high sec. And on top of that, it breaks the connecting bonds of the alliance. because those members are now in low sec, they're now in high sec, they're now farming and doing activities with different groups of people or on their own, and those will slowly break the bonds that hold those members inside those corporations.
Yeah, and change. People hate change. They had a routine. Saturday morning, I get my coffee. I get up. I do this. Sunday, I go and I go do this. Wednesday night, I did that. And now Sunday, Saturday, the Wednesdays, it's changed. It's all changed. Like, oh fuck, now I got to do this. I got to go do that. Sure, they could do it. Sure, there's the capability of doing it, but will they? And that's
Don't get me wrong. Any pilot, like who has enough accounts, can log in 5 orcas in fucking high sec and make money. Shocker, right? But the majority of pilots don't have 5 pilots, and they don't have 5 pilots that can fly orcas, and they don't have 5 pilots that can do all of these other specialized activities, right? They've got like 1 combat pilot and like maybe 1 industrial pilot if they're lucky. But usually they've got 1 like moderately trained pilot who can run missions and do ratting and whatever, and then they've got either a cap or like a main subcap pilot. That's the standard. That's the average, right? And the assumption.
You're describing my setup, and I still have billion with
once
2
again.
indie alts.
You are not the standard, Don. You're not even remotely close to the average. Okay, you are leaps and bounds into the upper echelons of like gameplay levels, right? The fact that you have like billions of ISK in your wallet should highlight that point to you, right? Like the average person doesn't have 5 billion ISK sitting in their wallet. They don't even have like 2.
I'm just gonna do a Twitch poll. I'm gonna do a Twitch poll real quick. So I want you guys in the Twitch chat to be honest about this, and I know you won't be, but I'm gonna do how much ISK is in your wallet.
I'll give them credit. Maybe they'll be honest. This is an honest show, so let's see. Let's go for honesty.
Did you just do a Capital One credit card commercial, dude? What's in your wallet?
So we're gonna do less than 1 billion. We're gonna do 1 to 5 billion. There are goons that watch this, Don. Your leader watches the show, so keep that in mind. 5 to 10 billion or 10 billion plus. All right. So we're just gonna start small, just real quick. So there's a poll. Vote in the poll. We'll see what the average is while we continue our conversation.
Voted 2.
So 12 accounts is not a normal amount, right?
Correct.
Apparently not.
The average pilot has less than 2 accounts.
I have a question for Don, actually. Mostly because I'm interested, because some of our guests previous to you coming in the show have talked about how they may not actually be allowed to come on other news things. So my simple question is,
it's a bad question.
Did you have to ask permission to come here, or are you here on your own accord?
You don't have to answer that question, Don.
You don't have to answer the question.
Don't do that, Loki. Don't do that. Come on, man.
I asked someone's opinion. That's about it.
That's fair.
Fair enough. Sorry, I'm a bad man, and I in no way represent this show in any capacity.
You do, though.
You're lying.
Outside of the fact that I'm a fucking host.
The thing is, you have to remember, we're at war, and Black Ops exist, and you guys are right there. There are certain restrictions we have to have on making money, or else you're gonna die, and you have to decide risk versus reward. Is it worth it for me to try to make this money here, or take the loss, go somewhere else, and do something? Still in a group, you act like these people are going off on their own. We have groups in other places doing things to make money. No one's alone if they don't.
Why are they still in the Imperium? If, say, Johnny Sins from, this one corp is running these high-sec mining groups and no other leadership from the Imperium is doing it, why doesn't Johnny Sins just make his own corp of the people that do that mining stuff? Where's the allegiance? Why pay the Imperium taxes on refining shit if they're not providing any benefits?
Or they're not involved. No taxation without representation.
All the money that they make is strictly to fund their fun, which is war. Or it could be something, honestly, there are people who don't like to fight, who don't want a war, but they're happy doing the other stuff for the war, such as mining and ratting and PI and, building blocks and things like that. And they don't ever want to fight, but they're still involved. They're still contributing, and they're still highly valued for the Imperium in their own way. And if you want to be alone, there are plenty of ways to be alone. If you want to be in a group, we have set up multiple groups to do multiple things outside of Imperium space to enjoy the game as much as possible while we wait for the mining and shit to come back to something reasonable.
And that's why I
Yeah, but
focus
doesn't
on the
that help?
change. That's why I focus on the change and not the money, right? People don't really like change. Unless you're wound up and really interested in doing the change,
I can
then you can do it. But the change is what throws people off. Money to the second. I not disagree with you, Billy, but I think it's a close second. But I think it's the change that really fucks and change when you're on the side that is getting their shit pushed in a little bit more at this point, right? That's the not fun side of change. Our side, a little more fun side of change right now. So we get higher numbers of participation. That's just
Well, it's
how wars
important to
go.
remember, like I've never been of the opinion that they can't make any pilot who knows what they do, knows what they're doing. Sorry, can make money in Eve. Making money in Eve is not incredibly hard if you have the correct knowledge in the different areas of the game, right? Like everybody's got a couple niches where they have, or most people develop some strong niches where they have some knowledge that allows them to make ISK effectively. If you don't, then usually you end up ratting or you doing something that's very simple that requires none of that knowledge, and eventually, over time, you will soon develop that, right? But we know we can't go after the low sec or the high sec or any of those ways that people make money, and for the most part, we don't really care, right? Like that's not our goal. That's not within the purview of what we're doing. And if pilots want to go out there and make money out there, they can, but they're doing it out there and they're not back in Imperium space defending, right? And it provides us the advantage that way. So we're not very concerned regardless, and we're just going to continue with our plan, and bit by bit we'll work our way through it.
Right, because you can't get up on Sunday morning, have your coffee out here in Imperium Space anymore. So you got to go somewhere else to do it because they don't want the change. So they got to go somewhere else, which in itself is change. And fuck, we don't want to move and jump freighter this or move these ships there or whatever. Then they
Yep.
settle down and they want their cup of coffee every Sunday morning and just do shit without the kids or the wife or whatever. And they want their 3 hours of fun.
Correct. There are people who are like that, and that happens. But we provide a lot of different opportunities to, make up for or mitigate the changes that have been put on there, not just from board, just from CCP in general. If you guys weren't here at our doorstep, there would still be people doing some of the stuff that we're doing.
Oh, of course, but that's no different from any group, right? Like we've got high sec planners just like you do.
Yeah,
We've got people doing low sec relic sites and all the rest. Like every group pushes those activities to some degree or another, but you always want to make sure that people have the simple lowest common denominator activities which is what we're trying to hamper the most, right?
Really, it's Black Ops are the only thing that really prevents us right now. Such a pain. I've always hated Black Ops.
Covert sinos through the sino jammers.
Black Ops.
Yeah, I fucking hate Black Ops, but I love it
But
too. 'cause
John,
we've
you
done it as
love
well.
Black Ops.
Well, you know what? To be fair, I had a lot of fun with Black Ops out in Aquarius for a couple weeks. That was a lot of fun. Just terrorizing
by
Brighton
the
for a while.
way, speaking of Black Ops, it may be, if you're a pilot in Pappy, it may be in your best interest to keep a covert Sino alt in R5 TAC M, T TAC J, and LUA 5. Just some examples. Just in case you wanted to maybe kill something doing something stupid.
Is this you telling me to bring my Hunter alt to those systems?
Hi, Bill.
No.
It's like, I'll do it right now. I'm not afraid to get my Hunter alt and burn right now.
What?
Drowning in the Kool-Aid today, huh?
What?
Said you're drowning in the Kool-Aid today, huh?
I don't know what you're saying.
Dude, I killed Bill earlier with the Keepstar. That felt good.
Do what?
Killed your Gnosis earlier with the Keepstar.
Yeah, dude,
I
fucking.
almost doomsday you, but I thought I'd kill a lot of blues.
I've become obsessed with the Praxis and the Gnosis lately.
Do you
They're
need
good
stuff?
chips.
They're so fucking. Well, I think I may have accidentally spiked the fucking transverse bulkhead market myself because I bought so many. Because no one whole tank shit except for me. So
Whole tank's very viable nowadays, especially because it doesn't have the speed penalties of Trimarks, right?
not only that, and you can buy like some Tech 2 fucking damage controls and roll them with the abyssals and like add another fucking.
I thought that was their
fun-
secret weapon, Bill.
What was?
The hull tanking.
No, my kill board's pretty fucking littered with whole tank ships, so
Yeah.
it's not exactly OPSEC at this point.
Cat's out of the bag. That's what we do for a lot of our ships for fun.
I mean, it's not OPSEC. It's OPSEC if you don't look at the kill board.
Right.
Why don't we just meet up in a solar system and bring in all our Titans and our Supers and just say, screw it, let's brawl it?
Because then Pappy would win.
Now I'm waiting until ore spikes bigly, and then I'm just going to reprocess my Titans.
Bigly.
Here first, guys.
It's
Big
getting there.
Big Bill is
Oh, shit, yeah.
Bill, you
What
said
what
that
what
your
Tatara are you
supers-
going to reprocess them at? Out of curiosity.
Give me a fucking station.
They're not that expensive.
Profit.
No, well, the joke is that you can't really reprocess Titans at anywhere except to KEEPSTARS, so it's not exactly going to be good or fine, let's say.
Well, you can asset safety it to Tatara, right?
No.
It has to be in the same system, or it goes straight to a low spec.
Well, we still got 1,800 Citadels to get through, right? So I'm sure one of them we could use.
1,800 so far. I guess we only got like what 5 today killed. So
I'll just put my Titan in a bulkhead. And
although I'm kind of curious, do you guys have a policy on anchoring structures, or how does that work? Like, are you guys
I don't
allowed to
know.
unanchor your structures?
I don't know. I don't do anything with building. I am not the person to ask. And
That
if I
person-
did know, I probably wouldn't tell you.
The last person that tried to do that in Imperium was John Hartley, and he didn't really do a good job with that, and ended up messing things up.
I think he did a great job.
I heard
did
a
a
rumor
great
that
job.
it was actually him. It was somebody else, and he was just covering for it.
Well,
That $20 was spent well for that one.
I actually kind of find it kind of funny because as far as I'm tracking, John Hartley's the only one that's actually won a fight when he got
I
that
was gonna-
Titan in the last like week, right?
Didn't we just make
He's
you
a
run
busy,
away
busy bee.
from 1DQ?
Didn't you just make us run away in 1DQ? That is
Yeah.
not winning a fight.
If you're not on field and we hold grid, clearly we have won.
You lost more ships, though.
Like,
Yeah, we're gonna lose ships. You lost ships too. I don't care.
when you turn on a Sinojammer and have 150 supers, like there's no like
Detail.
winning the fight.
Detail.
Yeah.
Detail.
So
Right.
Is wasn't a
Wait,
factor.
wait,
Goonswarm
hold
held the
up.
objective.
We won all the Keepstar fights then because we held grid and you guys all left.
Didn't we blow up
Yeah.
4 of them though?
Yeah, but I mean, we held.
We're still.
At
We
what
held
cost?
grid.
Detail.
Right?
Detail,
We held-
Ron, we held grid, and you left.
Yep, we won.
So we won.
Sure.
This is your
That's
logic.
Whoops.
But none of my buildings blew up, so.
It doesn't
wasn't
matter.
that particular
Your ships blew up.
Compared to what we lost.
It would be fair to say that we won half of Delve because
And yet-
we stayed on grid and we had the iHubs.
Sure.
In both
That makes you
in
feel
all
better.
those cases, Pappy definitely had the ISK advantage, and I think that's really important now with the inflation that CCP has thrust before us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not a graph person. I don't
That's an
get that.
interesting word for it. I like to use the word.
Market
Never mind.
fuckery.
Really bad word to use. I'm just gonna chill on that.
Anyways, I was just really,
stagflation.
I was just really surprised at the John Hartley getting the only win of the week and Asher like turbo feeding last night, and like how like the dynamics of the Goon FC team right now, where John Hartley
that
is like the
Titan is-
hated son and Asher's the beloved one, and one's actually winning fights and the other's getting like turbo dunked.
What makes you think John's hated? I love John. John's
You
my
might,
boy.
but
Loves
my
John.
understanding is that John is not in good terms because of the Sotillo incident.
John's my boy. I
He's
love
on
him.
terrible terms.
Yeah,
Hey, man, he
he
took
pissed
the
off.
fall.
He
almost
pissed
got
off
rid
the
of all that.
crabs, and that is the most dangerous thing to
Took the
do in
fall for
Goons.
his boys, so he's a good man. Took the
Bill's-
fall for his boys.
Bill sounds like he might have had something in that Satio. I don't know, dude.
There were at least
I
no less
had-
than 150 wyverns in there for Madcap.
Yeah.
I had a what was I building a POG?
Moloch.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a I changed it. It was
Komodo.
it was
Gnosis is where you're building, Big Bill.
don't
You're
worry
like
about
10k Gnosis in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you said you were building a Komodo in PYG Sotia or whatever, Bill.
it.
I
Yeah.
tried to like scoop Manny. I'm like, when it came time to kill that Sotia, I was like, I'm gonna salvage this one. And then it turned out to be nothing. I was like, Big Bill.
Yeah, that was the
See, I don't build, so I don't have to
much
worry about
less
any of this.
Figured there'd be at least something waiting for us.
No, was there actually anything? There wasn't anything in there.
Some
Maybe
cat
some
parts,
blueprint.
maybe. Nothing crazy.
See what
Oh, it
CCP
was.
needs
That
to
was my
do.
Komodo cat parts.
Nah, it wasn't that many. It was like maybe a Dreadworth or something.
Well, see what CCP should do is not nerf the minerals, nerf the job abilities in the Satios and all the other
Oh
ones.
god, we would solve that
That would
problem
make it
real
easier.
quick. See, Billy and I already talked about this on Saturday, but if they limited the amount of jobs in a building, there would just be more buildings everywhere.
No, you limit the amount of buildings allowed in the system.
You can't really do that
So,
because
like,
then
one
people will just
Satio,
max out a system with structures, and then nobody can put new structures down. Every single system in Delve would have just had the max structures when we got here. We wouldn't have been able to put any fucking citadels down.
Yeah. Oh man, that would have been
It's not
great.
rocket science. Like anybody could figure out how to game that system in about 3
And
seconds.
it wouldn't even be big buildings either. It'd just be Athenors and right towers everywhere.
Well, as I said, there's fucking 1,800 of them, so it's not like it's gonna,
And that's less than what we had before.
Yeah,
So-
I think it's down from like 2,200 at the start, so we're making progress.
No, I mean like before they changed the moons, like it was a lot
Oh
more.
yeah, you guys had like another 1,000 probably.
Think about how many moons in a system people did. Because I own 20 moons myself, so that was my joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I own like
It had to be.
52. And
Billy, you were in it with like 30 other people.
I own 20 moons. Average member. Okay.
Well, I had business partners. It's not my fault. Like, it's not my fault. Like half of them
Just
disappeared
another
after a while.
average goon line member.
Yeah, that's
I got no problems making money. I don't understand why other goons can't. Do you own a moon? What's a moon? I don't know.
Oh,
Their
you
corpse
should
on the
definitely
moon.
own a moon. Well, how do I get a moon? Oh, well, you buy it. Well, I don't have any money. Well, buy a moon. It's cyclical. Like that's all
Listen,
that is.
I went into business with my friend. We bought 10 moons at the start of it, and we just started adding it as they came up cheap. And he made some purchases I did not approve of.
Sounds like goon fucking to me.
Gotta be rich to get rich.
Yeah.
And none of them were
With
very
only
good.
two
Taking
accounts.
advantage of the poor goons.
2 fucking accounts. She bought all the moons.
Who was it that used to
Let me
anchor
let them-
POSs on moons back in Declan, like back in the day?
We had a dude when the moon changes happened that
Really
would
knows what I'm
anchor
talking about.
mobile depots on the moon spot so we couldn't anchor Athenor to claim moons as his own. He was very quickly kicked from Alliance.
That's beautiful.
That's rude.
Well,
So we touched on asset safety real quick. One thought question. We touched on asset safety. What if CCP aged out asset safety accounts, or like when your stuff's asset safety, it can sit there forever now. But what if they start aging it out?
There would be
Probably-
no
would that
way
ch-
to do that.
Well,
At this
here's one
point,
thing,
asset
asset
safety
safety.
was promised already to people, and the abandonment change has already strained that contract with people's trust enough already. I don't think they can make additional changes to asset safety.
But
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
if
they're
it's
flirting with
abandoned,
a fucking
everything
Ponzi
drops,
scheme at this
correct?
point.
If it's
I
an
mean, there was
abandoned
always a
Citadel,
Ponzi
everything
scheme.
drops.
It's called a
Yeah, if
successful
it's
corporation. It
abandoned-
literally is a
If
Ponzi
it's
scheme.
abandoned, it's not.
Yeah, but
Everything drops. Is
the
it?
thing is like shit happens
It is.
sometimes. Like if the owner of the station like doesn't share the rights with everybody or enough people, or if everybody who had rights to it disappear, like there's nothing you can do. CCP will not change it.
You can
No,
actually
that's
deposit
separate.
fuel in a structure, right? Even if you don't own it.
But you can't, if it turns off, you can't turn it back on.
That is
So
true.
yeah, if it's
No, you
on, you
can't.
can keep adding fuel to it.
Yeah,
But
that's
if
right.
it turns off at all,
But
you can't flip that switch.
But you can shoot it and loot it, so there's that.
Yep. That's pretty much what ends up happening.
Yeah, that reminds me. I gotta fuel the TTD for another year here.
You don't
Another
have
year.
to.
You heard.
Oh wait,
You
I
heard
have
it here,
stuff in it.
folks. TTT is going to be fueled and good for another year.
Well, no,
Of
it's like
course. Of
I fueled it
course.
for a year, like I don't know, a couple months ago, and then I don't know. I think we're at like 6 months, so I gotta do a
Well, at
full
least you
check.
can say a year ago.
And of course, Billy is certainly talking about Trash Talk Tuesday. Yeah,
I got a fuel
Twitch
red
talk
line
show.
with Rippets and stuff.
Red Bull and candy, my dude. That's all I need. Speaking of Red Bull and candy, that's what I'm gonna need tomorrow because we're getting late. Getting late into the evening. I, being the boomer that I am, need to go to bed soon. So
Drink more Red Bull.
we gotta do some final thoughts. We gotta cut this off so that people can go live their lives and lose wars and win wars and do all these
Jerky.
things in EVE Online. So
All
who
right,
wants
then.
to
So
start off with the final thoughts for tonight?
have a great night, folks. Remember, keep joining fleets, keep purging the delve, and we will achieve victory. I just need your dedication and your thoughts and prayers, and we will defeat the enemy. Thank you.
Hey, Billy, before you go, I want to file a complaint.
What? Why would you want to file a
Are you there?
complaint with Villy?
Because it's affiliated with him.
You're
Do you
not
leave
allowed to
early?
file complaints. No, he's still here.
Okay, like what am I supposed to say?
No, your boys in GTech M keep fucking memeing on me with carriers and my practice battleships, and I think that is very dishonorable.
Are you, as a goon member, actually complaining about somebody dropping caps on you in Delve?
Sounds
What?
pretty
Yeah,
unironic.
No, it's in Paragon
like
Salt.
it.
Where? Yeah, I practice by the honorable.
Are you talking
Society
about
of Eve.
GM5 or GM4?
There's another GM.
I said,
It's a GTech M. It's a system. It's
yeah, G Magic.
Are we talking about G Magic or
I
the
think it's
GTech
Lee
M5 in
Jonka's.
Delve?
I think it's Lee Jonka's group.
Yeah, we're talking about the Delve system, not G Magic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know we had a system.
So to
that
clarify,
keeps
Bob,
Snapchat.
you are currently complaining about someone dropping caps on you in Delve.
As
you
a
call
goon
me
in Delve.
Bob?
Supers in Delve, dude. Supers in Delve.
Called you Bob because it's close to B. Just answer the fucking question, Billy Bob.
Because there's like Brother Bob and there's Bill the Boss. It's very confusing.
Anyways,
Southern fucker.
Lee Chonka and his crew are a force of nature, and I pity any fool who stands between him and his kill mails. So that's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no,
say.
he fucking like camped. What was that system up in Pureblind? He was there for like 5 fucking years. That one system.
Yeah, Otekken maybe, or
It was,
next to
it was
EC.
like, yeah, it was next to something like that.
It was between LTech T and EC Tech. There's 2 systems there. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think one of them's
Well,
Otekken.
I'd like
Yeah,
to
I
say
would-
at least one thing to the folks that did all the Alliance combat. Thank you for all the work that y'all did, and I hope we see new people come in, because it'd be kind of cool to see new folks coming in and fight and win even. So, and I hope this war will get bloody.
Bro, you just gotta get logged back in, man. It's
Log
already
in.
bloody.
I get fights every day.
Are we doing shoutouts?
Yeah, we're doing shoutouts, but we're just telling Dalek first that like I know you haven't been on in a while because you've been doing your thing, but when you come back, you'll be surprised at how bloody this shit is. We live next door to their staging system
Well-
now, dude.
Redline, it's not doing my things. If I just stay out of the fucking hospital, it would be nice.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was just saying it without saying it because I work in a field of business where it's inappropriate to disclose specific medical conditions, so I do it by default.
I appreciate it.
Anyways, yeah, we're
DJ
doing
made me go
shoutouts now.
there.
I hope everyone has a good week and a happy Thanksgiving. And I hope, Dom, you start to feel better, and Dalek, you start to feel better. And everyone, please stay safe, especially with your families. That's my
Thank
shout
you.
out.
Does anybody else have shoutouts? It's open floor right now. Just go for it.
Shout out
Hector.
Shout out Sign of You, Best Corp New Eden. That's it.
Yeah, not quite the best Discord though.
Give a shout out to
I
my
don't know
fellow
what you got.
Canadians. To my fellow Canadians living in the U.S. Enjoy U.S. Thanksgiving. And one last thought: remember, if you're thinking of bringing a team into the AT next year, don't be like goons. Don't just grab any schmuck off the street. They don't like change, and you'll go 0-2.
It was remarkably deep actually. I
Well,
was impacted by that.
I want to give a shout out to fucking Peach and Pear LaCroix, the carbonated beverage. That's so tasty. Like, just share my love.
Are you mixing that with the Kool-Aid?
Mixing that with the cool aid.
Gives a little buzz.
I would like to give one shout out to my
You gave a
corporation.
shout out.
Yeah, but this is an important one. To my
Okay. I
original
got you.
sinners,
Yep.
man. Thanks for having
Yep.
my back while I've been
shout outs.
down.
And AWOC Loith instead.
No, that's normal. At least they
Yeah.
didn't go after Redline this time.
I
I'd give
gotta
a
log in to get AWACS, so
I'd give a shout out to Griffins in the Alliance Open. You guys were fucking super annoying and also amazing. So good job to y'all. And if you're in a small gang in Eve and you want to fly a Griffin, just make sure you have max skills and you will also be the most annoying ship in the fucking game.
I do small gang. Does that include me?
Yeah,
you
dude.
don't do.
Well, I
You do
mean,
you do
you do like
cable
bubble.
small gang
I think it's like
yourself
I
in 14
describe you as
alts.
bubble art. I don't know if that like bubble art would describe
Big
what you do.
Bill does solo game. Just because like he's got 10 of his own alts working together doesn't mean it's not solo.
It's not solo. Literally, it's broken. DCP should limit the number of accounts people can have.
Oh my god.
I'm just
can
kidding.
barely- I'm
Please don't attack me. Please don't
My
attack
shirt
me.
is heavy from the tears that are spraying through my
How do you
fucking
drop that
earphones.
at the end of a show like that and expect people to jump in?
I just
Wow.
do. That's what I do, man. That's what I do. All right. Does anybody else have any other shout outs? Because I have a special treat for everybody.
I
if
would
we're
like to
done.
shout out somebody.
Go for it.
Shout
I'd like to shout out. You gonna go Riker or is it?
No, you're
No,
gonna
you can go.
hit it.
All right, I'm gonna shout out to the Recon guys. They fly with us like pretty much every fight, and they deserve to be noticed. And of course, shouting out my buddies in HiSec, Belligerent, Undesirables. Don Purple leads that gang. They're awesome. And Redline 3 times a week.
Yeah, Redline, three
Yeah,
fleets a
3.
week.
You said 3. You have to eventually do 3.
I already
a
led
week.
2 of them this week, so we'll see what I can come up with for the rest of the week.
Well, Friday
No,
we can get
we're
drunk.
talking about
and
on
have
Red Line.
Black
We're not talking about
Friday.
on Dave Archer.
Just take over Fountain real quick. Redline.
I hate you, Bill. Stop perpetuating this meme. It's
The
not
whip is your
real.
Dave Archer.
I'm not Dave Archer. I'm Redline 13.
I'm a real Red Line.
I'm
a real boy.
Maybe I am a baby. All right. Anybody else have any shout outs before I give you a special treat?
Number 1. Way better than Sino
I think
Evo.
Riker. I think Riker's trying. And Dawn.
Hit us, Riker.
Shout out to Go Kill Remembrance.
What's that?
It's just a guy in Eve.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, I hope that guy in Eve appreciates being shouted out. Don, what's your shout out?
I'm gonna just shout out to my duckling. You all know who you are. That's it.
Okay. Anybody else want to hit us with their shout outs? Any shout outs in the chat even? You know, you guys can chat too.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Vanilla Cinnamon Mocha Coke.
Okay.
It's very delicious.
You drinking?
Mocha Cook. That's a made up word.
Mocha.
You just made up a word.
That's a mocha. You know, like Starbucks.
You said Mugga Cook.
I said, I'm
It's a
sorry.
mocha coat.
No,
Which I still don't know if that's a real thing.
He's slurring his words.
He said Mugga Cook.
No, I can't pronounce certain words due to where I grew up at in the southern
Mocha
hemisphere of the
and
United
Coke?
States.
You can't pronounce those words?
Mocha. I was trying to say it fast.
You could just call it Coffee Pop.
By the way, we have a lot of shout outs to the Godfather in chat.
Oh, shout out to Pineapple Pizza.
Ew, get out.
All right. So it sounds like we've exhausted the shout outs for today. See our buddies left already. So, all right. So with no further ado, I present to you the first time in the history of ever me rolling the credits. Oh, it's not working.